programs in 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Appreciate all you folks that are tuned in this evening. It's another day in the life of Trump, so you already know what that means. It is indeed a busy news day. I mean, I don't think there's ever a ever a peaceful news day with President Trump at the helm, and some folks like that. Some folks do like that. For the purpose of creating content, I suppose it's good. You know, if you really enjoy following politics like I do, I suppose it's good from that angle. But make no mistake about it, there's a whole lot of folks that are concerned with some of the things he is doing. And today we're going to talk about several of them. Before we get to the meat and potatoes of everything, I want to start out by asking you folks, what are the chances? Now they're cutting all sorts of federal things that they believe are waste, fraud, and abuse. You're hearing complaints about waste, fraud, and abuse everywhere. So, and this is mainly being orchestrated by Elon Musk. Trump is kind of giving Elon Musk the ability to run free on this. You know, he's the head of Doge, and he's letting Elon Musk kind of take the reins on this. Trump is not really the one that's doing all the cutting. He's pretty much just saying if Elon says it's good to go, it's good to go. So, in regards to what is good to go, I want to ask you folks, what are the chances that Social Security will be quote unquote good to go? What are the chances that Elon Musk, 70 million Americans are receiving Social Security benefits? 70 million. So in a country of 350 million people, that's like what, 1 in 5? So if you cut Social Security benefits, that's a lot of people. There's no denying that is a lot of people, 70 million people. So the reason I'm asking, you know, because I know a lot of folks might push back, because Trump is saying they're not going to touch Social Security. I get it, but you know, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes Trump says things and they don't turn out that way, such as the Haitian migrants that I always bring up, eating cats and dogs. That didn't pan out. But you heard them stating, I believe a week or two ago, that thousands of folks over the age of 150 were receiving Social Security benefits. That has been proven to be demonstrably false. I mean, like, just nowhere near the number of folks that they claim were receiving Social Security benefits at age 150, and they have no evidence to suggest what they said is true. And I'm bringing that up because that's not the only Social Security scheme, because that's exactly what that would be. If you're 150 and you're still receiving Social Security benefits, then yeah, that is a Social Security scam. I want to give you another one. This is once, and that came from Elon, that 150-year-olds are receiving Social Security benefits. That's something that Elon Musk brought up. Here's another one.
He's also raising concerns about the integrity of the Social Security program.
Just with a basic search of the Social Security database, that there were 20 million dead people marked as alive, because they're marked as alive in a Social Security database that they can get disability, unemployment, sort of fake medical payments and other things. Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time. Have you ever looked at the debt clock?
Yes.
Okay. There's our present day debt, but then there's our future obligations. So when you look at the future obligations of Social Security, the actual national debt is like double what people think it is.
Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy responded.
I'm bringing this up for the simple fact of Elon Musk's job is to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. He's made that clear. That is what he is there for, is to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. So if he is pointing out all of these angles of how wasteful, fraudulent, and abusive Social Security is, why would anybody believe they're not going to touch it? I mean, and he just added one in there. I didn't even hear that whole clip until I just heard it now. I didn't realize he's also claiming 20 million dead people are receiving Social Security. So he's saying it's a Ponzi scheme. He talked about a bunch of 150-year-olds are receiving Social Security. 20 million dead people is a Ponzi scheme. What would lead you to believe he's not going to touch this? Now, I know Trump is saying they're not going to touch Social Security, but if your job is to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, and you're telling people that there's this much waste, fraud, and abuse in the Social Security, why wouldn't you cut it? So I do want to point that out because if Elon Musk, by default, by being the head of Doge, is the one responsible for cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, remember, Trump is not doing the cuts. The firings are not coming from Trump. He's endorsing it because that's what Elon Musk is telling him. But for the most part, all of the cuts are coming by way of Elon. Elon is the one given the task of cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. And you hear how he's speaking about the Social Security benefits. Why would you believe he's not going to cut that? And just listen to what he's saying. Make that make sense. If your job is to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, and you're pointing out all of this waste, fraud, and abuse within the Social Security rolls, it makes no sense for you not to start cutting. If you believe this is this fucked up, then why aren't you doing something about it? So I just want to point that out because the chances of them not going after the Social Security benefits when he's saying all that about them doesn't make a lot of sense. 70 million Americans receiving Social Security benefits. So in addition to that, I also want you guys, we'll talk about Social Security and get your opinion on that. And by the way, in the comments, where is the evidence, says J Aviation. Appreciate the super chat, thank you. I don't think they're going to present any. I don't think they need to present any. I think for the most part, particularly with the right, if Elon Musk says he's found some evidence, or better yet, if Elon Musk says he's found some waste, that's kind of all that is needed for the right. I don't think the right is really demanding he show a lot of evidence. I think they're more on the line of, it's great to have somebody finally finding waste, fraud, and abuse in government, and we'll trust that in time he'll show us the evidence. I don't think they're really pushing on it. So I'm with you, though. The evidence should be presented at the time that you talk about it. But I don't think the right is demanding that. In addition to that, as of tonight, I believe at midnight, Trump is imposing tariffs in 3 places: China, Russia, and Mexico. So we're talking, I think 25%, 20 or 25% to China. 20 to 25% to Mexico and Canada, and then another 10, I believe, to China. The stock market just went boom when he said that. Boom. I think they said the stock market went down 600 points. Now, that's all above my financial expertise. So I'm sure I'll be talking to some of you folks about that. But we all should see maybe some hits to the 401k in the near future. So we'll talk about that. But I want you to hear, this is the premier of Ontario, Canada. He's got, I believe there's seven or eight territories in Canada, like Manitoba, I think Winnipeg is one. There's a northern territory. They're almost like states. For the most part, very similar to a state. So a premier of what is he called? The premier of Ontario. So I guess he would be like the governor of Texas or the governor of a state in this country. But I want you to hear his response. He's talking some tough shit. I don't think Trump's going to like this guy.
We have to make sure, you have 2 choices here, folks. We roll over as a country and just let them run over us, or we fight like hell, like we've never fought before. I'm taking option 2. I'm fighting like hell, and we're going to protect Canada. He's underestimating the Canadian people, the resilience of the Canadian people, and the strength of the Canadian people. I said, number 1, I don't start a tariff war, but we're going to win this tariff war. Right off the hop, I've directed the LCBO, we're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world, to remove every bit of U.S. alcohol off the shelves. I know my good friend, the governor of Kentucky, he's losing his mind right now. I said, you better talk to your president. Mitch McConnell, senior senator from Kentucky, they're losing their mind. We purchase over $1 billion of alcohol, 3,600 products, 35 states. It's going to hit them. We call them the kitchen table issues. Then we're going to cancel Starlinks right away from Elon Musk. Not that $100 million makes a difference for him, but it's principle. I've directed the procurement of over $30 billion of goods, not to go to the U.S., to make sure we buy Ontario first, And if we can't find it in Ontario and we can't build it in Ontario, we go across the country. I'm asking politely until I implement it, every retail store, when you go look at the shelf marker that has the price, we need to see a Canadian flag on that price. A lot of people can't pick it up and scan it. So please work with us, or we're going to legislate it. I'll tell you this. Uranium for the U.S. comes from Saskatchewan. I've had deep conversations with my good friend, closest ally, Scott Moe, the Premier of Saskatchewan. That uranium goes over to Port Hope, Ontario to get processed. From Port Hope, it goes down to get enriched, down to the U.S. I will not and cannot speak for Scott Moe. He's a patriot. He loves Canada. But if we got to stockpile our high-grade nickel here in Ontario and sell it to the world, so be it. And as for uranium, I'll leave that up to Scott to decide. The potash that fertilizes.
Okay, he obviously got this guy's going the fuck off. I'm not going to play it all, but clearly he has a plan B. He's kind of ready. He's at least willing to fight. Now, in the comments already, I see Draco says, tariffs kick in tomorrow on Canada. Let's see who wins the tariff war. Well, I can tell you this, Draco. As an American citizen, you're not going to win it. Neither am I. Because what does tariffs amount to for an American citizen? You're just going to pay more for the shit you buy, for the things you use. You're not going to win that tariff war. So any American that's gung-ho about imposing tariffs on these countries, you're actually committing to higher costs in terms of goods and services for a longer period. Remember when you were bitching about the price of eggs and the price of cereal? This is going to make that worse, at least for the foreseeable future. So I don't know who's going to win it, but it ain't going to be you or me. So I don't know why anybody on either side of the border would be happy about tariffs, because they're going to pass all this shit on to you and I. Looking in the comments, then why do countries impose tariffs on the U.S.? It's a complicated formula. Like I said, it's above my pay grade. But at the end of the day, the United States is one of the wealthiest countries on earth, and we're bitching about tariffs. I mean, we're one of the most blessed group of citizens on the planet bitching about how we need more money. There is a such thing as going too far, pressing your luck, I mean, you're a superpower. We got more money damn near more money. The average American citizen, even the ones living in poverty, live better than most others citizens, live better than most middle-class citizens all over the damn planet. If you're poor in America, you live better than most middle-class citizens. And yet we keep pushing and push. We'll see how it goes. But I don't feel confident just yelling out, let's see who wins the tariff war. So we'll talk about that. Last but not least, the whole title of the program, you see. And that is, why does it appear as if we're starting to side with Russia over the free world? What is it about Russia that's making our administration view them more favorably? Or, and you can correct me on this, or am I getting something wrong? Maybe I'm seeing something that does not exist. Now, before we start taking calls and getting into the program, now you just heard Premier Ford from Canada preparing for the U.S. tariffs. Here is another prime minister that I think is also important to listen to.
The first priority of this government, of any government, first, we will keep the military aid flowing and keep increasing the economic pressure on Russia to strengthen Ukraine now. Second, we agreed that any lasting peace must ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and security, and Ukraine must be at the table. Third, in the event of a peace deal, we will keep boosting Ukraine's own defensive capabilities to deter any future invasion. Fourth, we will go further to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee the peace. The UK is...
That's a whole lot more than what Trump was offering, I can tell you that. And by the way, before I play the last portion of this and start taking calls, how many of you folks are familiar with the term coalition of the willing? Does it sound familiar? Coalition of the willing. Let me know in the comments if you recall where you've heard that term before. Coalition of the willing. Wow.
To defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee the peace. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting. But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong US backing. And today I'm announcing a new deal which allows Ukraine to use £1.6 billion of UK export finance to buy more than 5,000 air defence missiles, which will be made in Belfast, creating jobs in our brilliant defence sector. This will be vital for protecting critical infrastructure now and strengthening Ukraine in securing the peace when it comes.
I'm going to stop it there, but clearly he's going way beyond what Trump was offering. Way beyond. Trump pretty much is saying, we want your rare earth minerals to pay for what we've given you already, and that's kind of it. Suggesting that as long as we're there processing your minerals, nobody's going to mess with you. But we're not going to make any promises at all, which means that if Russia decides they want to attack, the United States could temporarily leave. Just say, as long as you don't bomb the area where we're mining, once you guys are done, we'll return. I mean, Trump is not offering anything. You hear this is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, one of our strongest allies. Just like you just heard, the Premier of Ontario, of Canada, one of our strongest allies there as well. By the way, the Prime Minister of Australia also stated that he stands by the Ukraine. So what the hell are we doing? All of our closest allies are on the other side of this. Why are we siding with Russia? I want to hear that from you folks. So I'll go ahead and get into the program because I'm baffled how we're essentially divorcing all of our allies that we've been allied with for our entire lifetimes for the sake of, I don't even know what it is. I don't know what's making us draw closer to Russia. Now, you've heard Trump already accuse the Ukrainians of starting a war. You've heard them accuse Zelensky of being a dictator. Why? So what the hell's going on here? So we'll talk about all of this. As always, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone in the program. We are and always will be MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program as well. We don't block, ban, or censor anybody. You can be critical of anyone in the comment section up to and including the host. That's how free speech works. I'm going to ask you guys to tap the screen, get the likes up to about 10,000. It'll help out the program, helps out the algorithm on the backup page. Handsome, they can stand beside Ukraine, but they can't fight Russia. They'll lose big time. I don't know, John Carl, when you're talking about the whole of Europe, I don't know if Russia can take on the whole of Europe and lose. And win, remember, everybody thought the Ukrainian war, even with the U.S. assistance in terms of weapons, was going to be over with pretty quick. It's been going on for 3 years now. And Russia has lost a lot of manpower, a lot of equipment. Now you want to go from taking on the Ukraine with U.S. weapons to taking on most of Western and Eastern Europe at the same time. Russia ain't as strong as you might think they are. If they don't use atomic weapons, that's going to hurt. They're not just going to be able to do that. We've seen what has happened with them fighting Ukraine. They've turned out to be a paper tiger in terms of conventional weapons. Now they're going to step from the Ukraine and start taking on all of these. You realize how much extra manpower that is? How much renewed manpower? You heard the Prime Minister of the UK say, we are prepared to do it with boots on the ground and planes in the air. So he's made it clear we're willing to use equipment and people. America was not even prepared to put boots on the ground.
Strong US backing. And today announcing a new deal which allows Ukraine to use planes in the air, and to guarantee the peace. The The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air, together with others.
Who the hell are the others? Now, America wasn't doing all of that. We didn't even get Ukraine planes until the very end. So, if you want to brag about how much weapons the United States gave them, we didn't give them planes and extra soldiers and shit. So, I don't know. Don't be so quick to say Russia's going to win this. This could actually be a step up. Remember, a lot of the equipment that we gave to Ukraine, some of these countries have it too. France makes a lot of top-notch equipment. So I don't know. Don't write this off that quick. As Zelensky told Trump, when Trump said if you didn't have our weapons, this would have been over. And Zelensky's like, yeah, Putin said 3 days. So they ready to fight. I don't know about that. Anyway, let me go straight to the bots. And I appreciate you guys for tapping the screen already. Z-Pack. Good evening, Z. If the program brings up shit, terrorists must have hit home. Terrorists must have hit those damn Girl Scout cookies. Right, I don't know what that means. Z-Pack, I don't know if it's going to bring you up. We'll give it a second, otherwise we'll move on. American exceptionalism has poisoned the minds of the American people. Damn right there. They think we can't lose. Newsflash, we have been losing. We lost in Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Carpe diem, I could not agree with you more. That is something that we need to get off of that, you know, we got the best weapons, we're a superpower, nobody can beat us or whatever. Nobody has to actually win. People are still dying. It doesn't matter who wins or loses. I mean, you're still losing a bunch of Americans. Okay, some might argue that we may have won a war to the past. I mean, what are you getting out of it, though? It's not making the lives of our lives any better. People are burying loved ones and shit. I don't see why people are so gung-ho about, well, let's go kick their ass. You don't get nothing out of that. Z-Pack, I don't know what just happened there. I tried to bring you up. We'll continue on with the program. The losses don't justify the win. That's my sentiment exactly, William. Z-Pack, good evening.
What up?
Not much.
That was my fault.
Oh, okay, it's all good.
I wasn't on the app when you called me up. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty simple. We all know the reason. You know, this is exactly what, Donald Trump claimed. It was not about Russia, that we dragged him through. Hold on one second. Let me pause this. That it wasn't about Russia. He dragged through the mud with Vladimir Putin for 4 years, Russia, and all that stuff. But it is about Russia because he's always loved Russia, and he will do what Vladimir Putin wants him to do because that's just what he is. He goes by that.
But what about his statement? And he is correct about this. Obama gave them sheets. I gave them javelins. The tank. The anti-tank.
So he was forced to give him javelins because Congress overwhelmingly approved the funding. That's my understanding. The javelins were given to Ukraine in a deal that was non-veto proof from Congress. That's my understanding. And so what had happened was he at that time said, I really don't want to give these to Ukraine, but I'm going to, or something along the lines of
I did not know that. I did not know that. So in other words, he did it, but he was forced to do it.
Yeah, I would double check it. There was a bill that was passed in Congress for this. The funds were appropriated, and he had, and they were veto proof because they had more than 2/3 majority. I think if it has more than a 2/3 majority, they have to. He has no choice. So I remember, and I may be confusing that with the sanctions. It was either that or the sanctions. And he made a public statement saying, I really don't want to put these sanctions on, or I really don't want to give these javelins, but we're going to do it anyway, or something along that line. Okay. But remember, this was like 6 years ago.
Right.
So obviously it's far removed from.
I wish I didn't know that. I would have did some research to find that out. So I mean, there's no way I'm gonna be able to find it out right now
it's either the sanctions that were passed. He said, I really didn't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, kind of talk. And then he or it was the javelins. Now, the javelins he may have sent over. I actually think this was. I'm now remembering it a little bit better in regards to the funding. This was in regards to sanctions rather on
Okay.
Russia. They got passed, I believe, through Congress. I think it went through Congress, and it was an overwhelming majority. And he could not get away from doing. He couldn't not enforce them.
Okay, so it was basically veto proof, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so like the weapons were the funding. Somebody in the chat said the weapons were the funding. That's right. And this was the whole impeachment thing. Remember, because he didn't want to give the weapons unless they gave him info on Biden.
I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that
Yeah,
part.
so the weapons were the funding. And so what he said, he made a statement about it where he said something like, I while I don't really want to do this this harshly, this is it's a pretty harsh deal. It's pretty harsh. But he said something along the lines, and then that's his word to Putin, right? And he did hold them up, and that's why he got impeached over, which is ironic because he bragged about it the other day. I gave you javelins, but yeah, he also got impeached because of that action, right? You got impeached because you refused to give Congress appropriated funds unless they did a favor.
Yeah, now I'm actually dying to find that. I'm at the for one of the future shows. I'm eager to see that now because I did not realize
You gotta
that.
come on my program occasionally.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta invite me. Send me an invite. I'll come through.
Yeah, because that's the critical component here that a lot of people forgot about because it was so far removed.
Yeah, in other words, he's taking credit for doing something that he really didn't want to do, and it's actually Congress that should get credit for that.
Right, but he said it right in front of Zelensky's face, with all parody aside, that he was impeached because of the very action. I gave you the javelins, I did it.
Yeah,
I gave you the javelins.
it's crazy that he's sitting there because he was sitting next to Zelensky, making it sound like Putin was a victim with the Russia, and all that stuff. And that's what I'm saying is all of our allies have made clear they stand with the Ukraine. What is it about Putin that Trump seems to favor?
Because Donald Trump is a businessman, and he has always wanted to have this Trump Tower Moscow thing where there's
I am aware of that.
Right, Gaza. He wants a hotel in Gaza. He wants, beachfront. It's all he cares about.
So you're trying to tell me that he would sell out the whole damn country for his own real estate deals?
See, that's the thing. It's not even so that he would sell out the country. It's just that, he's such a narcissist that, if somebody's willing to give him a hotel building, right, and Trump Moscow,
Okay.
he'll do favors for that person. If Zelensky came out and said, I'm going to give you, I don't know if there's beachfront property in Ukraine, maybe. I'm going to give you beachfront property in Ukraine. I'd be interested to see if he would change his tune, because that's the kind of person he is. You dangle a carrot in front of him, he's going to go and look at that shiny carrot, and he's going to go, oh, that look.
Yeah, but I'm hearing, but that goes against what I'm hearing, particularly from my beloved MAGA, that Trump is a patriot and he cares about this country. You're making it sound like he cares about himself.
Hanson, let's be serious here. We all know that he cares about himself. Come on. What he doesn't care. Wait, what? So hold on a second. So I understand that you're MAGA friendly on here, right?
Yes,
I understand that these MAGA folks come up here and they say things. Right, they say these things about how he loves our soldiers and our patriots and all this stuff, but meanwhile,
he's also pro-police. Don't forget to throw that in there.
Oh yeah, but meanwhile, Congress is not even funding. They're not guaranteeing VA funding in their new budget. They were asked about it today, and a congressman, I think it was Murphy, a Republican, said we cannot guarantee that cuts won't be made to VA after being asked the question. It was on I think it was Jake Tapper's program today.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I would definitely check out on that, because that was another thing where you hear MAGA always telling us that they are for
The military, for veterans.
for veterans. But meanwhile, Donald Trump, to re-answer your question, right? To re-answer, because I got off on a little bit of a tangent, Donald Trump will sell out the United States for himself. That's the reason why Elon Musk is essentially the de facto president.
Okay.
Because Elon Musk.
Let's say what you're talking about is true. Let's say why the hell can you see this and MAGA cannot? If what you're talking about is true, why is it that Trump supporters they're veterans?
MAGA's weird.
Huh?
Because MAGA's weird. MAGA's weird. And that's what Tim Walz said, and he was right. MAGA's weird. They will support Donald Trump to the end of time. It doesn't matter what he does. Doesn't matter what he says. He could pew somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and he wouldn't lose any votes. What do you think he was serious when he said that? I think he was, because he knew his base.
I want him not to be serious when he said that, but at this point,
he does. Listen, and he is not, and Donald Trump, to his credit, is very good at speaking in a very low educational, like very not low education, but a very simplistic way of speaking.
Okay.
So what he does is he says things and he gets people to believe them, and they're things that they can easily parrot. So like that's all he does on a daily basis, and you're hearing it today. Zelensky, the invasion is all his fault. Meanwhile, Russia.
Why would he? I mean, the world saw what happened. Why would he think that that anybody would walk away believing that Zelensky started that war? And I got some MAGA that tell me they did.
Because they believe that the Nord Stream pipeline was blown up by the U.S. or NATO. They believe that am I saying it right? Nord Stream 2. Yeah, the one that goes under the bay or the sea. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, so they believe that it was blown up by NATO or the United States, but that's actually a Putin talking point. That's what Putin is saying. When he was on an interview with Tucker Carlson,
okay,
right? Because Fox News and all that stuff, they love well, he's not even with Fox anymore. But Putin was saying, he asked them straight up, can you tell us that it was you or someone else that blew up the pipeline? And he essentially said that it was somebody else, like NATO or us.
But even still, that's no reason to attack the Ukraine. They're not a member of NATO.
Well, he felt because, the argument that MAGA makes is because NATO was encroaching on the border of Russia.
Yeah.
Right? That's their thing. But that doesn't make any sense because Ukraine doesn't have nuclear weapons and so Russia does. So the whole idea that this whole encroachment bullshit, it's a Kremlin talking point that MAGA has adopted.
Well, not only do they not have any nuclear weapons, there is no evidence to suggest that they were ever going to become part of the NATO. They just wanted to. They literally got attacked because they wanted to do something. There was no vote here because all of the NATO member nations got to approve you before you can become a member of NATO. There was never a vote or anything like that. So that's a hell of a reason to attack somebody.
Yeah, Putin feels cornered. So when Putin's cornered, this is what you get. You get him invading a country that has no defense. And MAGA is on here and out in the public saying that it was Ukraine's fault and that Zelensky is somehow the dictator. It is stupid politics, geopolitical politics, right? It's stupid everything, but it's enough because Donald Trump speaks in such a low educational level. These folks really truly believe everything that he says, and they're not very educated themselves. I hate to say it, I hate to be that mean, but they're not. They just think that everything that we're telling you is wrong because one time we said that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, and they didn't. So they think because of that, right? Because of that, We can't be trusted. And that's what Donald Trump
But that
instilled.
doesn't make any sense. Okay, the government says that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. They get caught in a lie, so you don't believe the government. Yet Trump has been caught in a lie on all kinds of stuff, and you keep believing Trump? That doesn't make any sense. Now, real quick before I continue on, Draco says Zelensky was flying NATO flags antagonizing Putin. So they...
Okay.
And that was enough to start a war? Wow.
That's not enough to invade a country, and that's not an excuse to invade a country.
Right.
And this is where we get dangerous, because we're talking about the Budapest Memorandum, which a lot of people have forgotten about conveniently. I don't know why, but they feel as though that the Budapest Memorandum doesn't carry any weight, when in fact it does. We know that it does, and that's the whole reason we're doing what we're doing in Ukraine. But they believe that because nuclear weapons aren't involved, that this is what MAGA thinks. They say, well, what was the reason for that? Well, if they ever use nuclear weapons. Well, guess what? They have nuclear weapons, right? So at what point could they use nuclear weapons? That's the whole point. We are protecting Ukraine so they can fight back, so Putin doesn't have to. I mean, because
Putin,
ideally,
actually, Russia was in on that. Russia was appreciate the hats and mustache. Oh, that's crazy. Putin was supposed to be along with the UK and the United States protecting Ukraine. He's part of the deal that if they give up their nuclear weapons, he's supposed to be on their side, not attacking them. Was he not?
I don't know the specifics of that one, but what I will tell you is that what had happened there was, again, to what what I was saying, was that they've created this whole alternate reality that they live in, where Ukraine is suddenly the bad guy, and it's Putin that somehow is the innocent, sensitive, misunderstood dictator, right? Like, oh, he's just misunderstood, you know? But the reality is, we've seen this shit for years. Putin does this all the time. He wants to reconnect the old USSR. That's his plan. Even Mike Pence said that.
Yeah, and that's what they're saying. That's what Zelensky was arguing on that when he was at the White House the other day. Is that, you know, when he said you're going to feel it, and Trump was like, you can't. He's basically saying, look, if you let him take over the Ukraine, he's going to go after a NATO member state next, and you're going to be obligated to act. So you're going to feel what's happening. I don't think Trump and J.D. Vance either got it or wanted to get it, but that's how I interpreted when he said you're going to feel it.
The irony, Handsome, and I know you want to move on, but the irony here is that J.D. Vance said, you're litigating this out to the American media. I've seen your media tours. I've seen what you do, right?
Well, never having been there.
But meanwhile, two things. He's never been there, and he was litigating to the media his talking points.
Yep, said it.
So at the same time, he was litigating the talking points of Russia to the media that was standing right there, while accusing Zelensky of doing the same thing. The weirdness of that, you know, as I said in the beginning of this, when I joined, MAGA's weird. The weirdness of that is just insane. You can make an excuse that you're litigating to the American people, and then you quite literally do the same thing that you're accusing him of.
Yep.
It's wild sauce.
Well, they seem to have the hearts and minds of at least half the American constituency.
I believe that it's less. I mean, in all fairness, I mean, he got 49% of the vote. So, I mean, I would say that, you know, it's probably less than that, but it is probably 47% right now, I would say. I don't buy the notion that 50% of the country says right now they approve of him. That has dropped by several points. It will continue to fall because of the stock market today taking a hit because of the tariffs. And you're going to see this roller coaster of his approval rating. And again, Joe Biden had an approval rating above 50% when he started too. I mean, it's just how it works.
All right.
So
Z-Pack, appreciate you coming through. Send me the invite.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program, and I actually do agree with him that likely because of some of the controversial things that Trump is doing, his approval ratings is going to fall because Now, that's not to say that some of the things that Elon Musk, the finding of waste, fraud, and abuse, if that translate into cheaper groceries, cheaper taxes to Americans and things like that, Trump's numbers could go up. Right now, all of the stuff he's done, for the most part, has been hurting Americans. Now, he's telling you good things are coming out of it, but nobody is actually seeing the good things yet. I mean, he's talking about finding billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse, but that hasn't translated into anything tangible for Americans yet. But the firings have. People are losing jobs and losing revenue right now for certain. Nobody's really benefiting yet. The hope is that down the line, the firings, the finding of waste, fraud, and abuse, getting rid of USA and all of that will ultimately lead to benefits. But right now, nobody's benefiting. It's all negatives. We'll see how it turns out. So while that's happening, yeah, his poll numbers are dropping. That only makes sense. Looking in the comments, continuing on, and yes, Williams, you can certainly join the panel. We convinced them to give up their nukes along with Russia. Now we are going to turn our backs. That's what people are. Yeah, that's what folks are wanting us to do. Yeah, that's exactly it. I'll go back to the box, tap the screen, get the likes up to about 30,000. We can make that happen if you show the program some love. Looking in the comment section, I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. You guys are cheering the UK and EU on for more war, and they are funding Russia, buying gas for them. Draco, appreciate your input as always. In regards to cheering the UK and EU on for more war, I think here's the issue, because Trump is saying the same thing. Why the hell would you not take a ceasefire if you can get it, as opposed to more people dying? I think what a lot of folks that are on the Trump side of the aisle do not realize is that the Ukraine does not consider a peace deal with a chunk of their country no longer in their possession as peace. They want their country back. So look, we killed a bunch of people. We now hold 15, 20%, whatever it is of your country occupied. We'll stop right now and consider it a draw, but you don't get this land back. The Ukrainians don't see that as peaceful. That's what Trump is offering. He's offering them a loss of some of their sovereignty. That's why, and not to mention, he's not offering them any security, so that if Russia decides to invade again in the near future, he's not offering the United States going to do anything about it. So he's not really offering the Ukrainians much at all. That's why they're not accepting it. Now, Trump's claim is this. Trump is essentially, and I'll go to the box after this, but Trump is essentially separating himself from the United States. His claim is, under me, Russia behaves. But he's admitting under Obama and Bush and Biden, they may have misbehaved. But under me, they don't. That does not have a lot of power unless you're a dictator. Because what Zelensky should have turned to him and said, according to your law, you're only going to be here for 3 more years. So what happens after the 3 years? Because you're not giving me anything on paper, anything. You're telling me, well, under you, I can trust this. What happens when you're gone? So what Trump is offering Zelensky is, I can totally understand why he's not happy with that. To me, it ain't worth much. You're going to talk Putin into a ceasefire. If he decides to start up in a month or two, you're not promising to do anything for me, so I could end up having a second wave of an attack from Russia while you're also demanding half of the rare earth minerals. Now you're worse off than you were before you made the deal with Trump. So yeah, I can totally understand why he's not taking that. Looking in the comments before we move on, Hubert Cumberdale, thank you for the super chat, says no, Ukraine accepts that they will not get occupied. Wait a minute. You says no, Ukraine accepts that they will not get the occupied area, yet they want to make sure Putin can't keep going. But also Russia has not agreed to anything and has no reason to stop. Ukraine wants NATO. Ukraine's not going to get NATO. They're not going to get NATO under Trump, and they probably are not going to get NATO whoever proceeds Trump. The NATO thing is probably out. I don't see that. But what I do see the Ukraine getting that may actually be more valuable than NATO because of how Trump is acting is some type of EU alliance with the rest of the European nations. Because Trump has not only gotten on the bad side of the Ukraine, which MAGA don't give a damn about that, but he's also gotten on the bad side of most of Europe. And most of Europe is on record saying we stand by the Ukraine. That's why you just heard the Prime Minister of the UK talking about a coalition of the willing. So what the Ukraine could actually get is, even though they don't get into NATO, they could end up as part of the EU, some kind of European alliance, which still is a significant increase in security from what they have now. And I said when we were playing the clip of the Prime Minister that Prime Minister of the UK is offering the Ukrainians a lot more than what Trump is offering. William Williams, good evening, welcome to the program. Which is, and by the way, with what the UK is offering, I would turn Trump down all day, every day for what the UK is offering. Williams, good evening.
Good evening. I'm glad you shocked me. I flipped across you. Usually I see the MAGA stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm hearing a little something different from Handsome, which is good to hear. One of the things
before you continue, and I will thank you. Typically, the response is a coon, a sellout, an Uncle Ruckus, or something like that. So I appreciate that. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm glad you're willing. At least you appear to be willing to hear, because I'm a never Trumper. But this is where I'm at.
Why?
The whole thing with the Ukraine, I had a team in Ukraine, and they were former Russian people. So they were Russians, and when this conflict happened, they moved to Ukraine and Serbia and Montenegro when it happened.
They wasn't part of the Wagner group, were they?
No. This was an IT. It was an IT organization. So I was just on that. I was leading the team, but I learned a lot from that because there is a lot of history between Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
To your point, yeah, they want to hold Crimea. That's been one of the crown jewels. They want to hold Crimea, and part of the people in Crimea wish they were back in the Soviet Union. I don't know why, but this is what my teammates were telling me. They wish they were. Mm-hmm. But anyway, to the reason I wanted to come in, Obama, I was doing the research while you and the previous gentleman was talking about Obama. What I read, he did provide military support. He held back javelins because he did not want to tip Putin's hand to be overly aggressive in the early stages of the war. That's why he withheld the javelins. But there were other.
When you look at what you're talking about, Obama did. Yeah. When you look at what Trump did with the javelins, and when you look at what Biden gave, it sounds like Sleepy Joe Biden was the most brave out of all of them because he was in the fight. He was down to fight.
Yeah, he was, and if you think about Joe, that's kind of what Joe was. Even though people here in this latter ages, he was kind of a fighter. That was his nature. I was on the radio before, and we did a show on Joe Biden, and he does have that Sleepy Joe, Scranton Joe type of thing. So
yeah, because he also went to Taiwan and said publicly in Taiwan that if China messed with them while he was in office, he was down for a fight there also.
Yes, he is. But the point of what I think you're hitting on, I think I want MAGA to really wake up to it, because MAGA doesn't understand. And to the previous caller, he was talking about the educational level. I think people right now have just got too lazy, and they take the propaganda that was here. The prime example, look at now he said he would solve this conflict before he even got sworn in.
Yeah, 24 hours. 24 hours.
Yep. And now here we are, and it's got worse. And this is what I said on another live. He had an opportunity in that meeting with Zelensky to understand. Listen, I'm the biggest dog in the room. I represent the biggest dog in the room. Let me say it that way. J.D. Vance was out of line. J.D. Vance spoke and had not been boots on the ground, and that makes common sense. But this man is fighting for his people, and you being Donald Trump, you have an opportunity to come in and, number one, make good on your promise. Number two, help these people out and build a bond with these people, and a political bond with your people that want you to support Ukraine. and do better instead of just attacking this man and say, you didn't say thank you, you didn't say thank you.
Yeah, that's insane. You know something? I did a video in regards to J.D. Vance yelling this, you didn't say thank you, and Trump said he's not appreciative. I actually did a video and asked that question, is that, do you think that Trump and J.D. Vance would have been more supportive if he looked them both in the eye and said, you know, just to get things clear, I would like for, you know, to offer on behalf of the Ukraine an official thank you to the American people for helping us in the war effort, and a special acknowledgement to former Vice President Kamala Harris and Joe Biden because they gave us most of the equipment. You think that would have pleased Trump and J.D. Vance?
Everything but the last part of what you just said. Everything but the last part. But see, to your point, if you go back and look at the discussion, I don't think that they gave each other time to actually express their points of view. Because even if Trump would have gave him time to say that, I don't think Zelensky necessarily gave Trump time. So they were over talking each other. I'm trying to be fair on both sides. But to the point of what we were talking about Ukraine, there's a lot to unpack here. And I also think one of the things your audience has to think of, the U.S., when Trump came in office, he floated the idea of doing a soldier withdrawal, 20,000 troops withdrawing from Europe. Now, you can read about this. He's floated this idea several times, and it actually just came up yesterday, and J.D. Vance had talked about it today. Mm-hmm. So he's talking about possible military withdrawal of troops from certain areas in Europe. Now, marry that to the fact that we have operations going on right now in Poland, and we've had them in Poland to support this effort.
Wow.
There's been boots on the ground. Most people, and it's not necessarily, you know, mainstream media, but there are boots on the ground in Poland of our U.S. forces to support them. So you got several different things going on here that the audience needs to look back, take a step back and say, okay, why is all this stuff happening? And then the thing that really struck me is this mineral deal, because we knew it has been told to us that, okay, Ukraine is sitting on rare earth minerals and so forth and so on. Now, Obama administration didn't touch it. The Biden administration didn't touch it. But now all of a sudden it comes into play. Yeah. And my point was this. I said, the U.S. doesn't manufacture anything that uses rare earth minerals or minerals of that such. But we know of one that does, and that is Tesla. Tesla.
Oh, no. Are you serious?
Okay, well, think about it.
My God.
You have rare earth minerals that can actually be used for battery capacitance, for understanding better battery capacitance and longevity of battery powered vehicles.
God.
Now, not only everybody thinks about Tesla, but they forget about the Powerwall. The Powerwall is the apparatus that Tesla sells that is for battery utilization on your house, and they have grids of battery capacitance that Tesla has been floating. All this benefits Elon Musk. Think about it. Ask yourself this question. You don't have to take my advice. We know we sold oil and gas to Venezuela and other countries because we okay. Who are we going to sell rare earth minerals to? Who are we going to sell that to?
We would be the ones that would use it the most.
Right. And now let's peel that back a little bit more. Peel that back a little bit more. So now you're taking U.S. taxpayers' dollars to buy support for Ukraine. Now we end up occupying part of Ukraine to support the mining and exploration of that and to keep Putin at bay. Putin is not, like you said, he's not going to go away. So they end up taking part of or annexing part of Crimea. So who loses in the end? The Ukrainian people lose part of their land. They may get some jobs out of this. U.S. taxpayers' tax dollars go to support this. Tesla now.
So we're essentially basically just robbing that damn country. I mean, we are basically joining in on the heist with Russia.
Yeah, because think about it like this. Tesla is a global company. So the Tesla cars that will be sold to Russia, sold to China, sold to South Korea, sold to Iraq, Iran, and any of our other adversaries will be made off of our Tesla.
I was telling you something, though. As bad as this sounds, If he passed some of that, if Trump and Elon Musk, because I mentioned the $5,000 proposed stimulus check or whatever the hell they talking about, if they pass some of that money down, because that's an insane amount of money, which where we're talking about. If they pass it, there's just a few pennies of that down to the American people. We're so money hungry in this country. It's amazing what you'll turn a blind eye to. I think that if they show Americans that what they're doing is benefiting Americans financially, most Americans will be okay with it.
I think you're okay with that, but this is my take on that. Look at the current. These are not layoffs. These are firings.
Yeah.
Meaning that they're not eligible to be rehired. So you look at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Okay, I'm familiar with the Department of Veterans Affairs. Right now, they're scrambling because of all the U.S. departments are scrambling because of any of their remote work.
It ain't enough of them. I get your point, but it ain't enough of them. I mean, most MAGA do not work in federal jobs. They hearing about it, but for the most part, they see it as waste, fraud, and abuse. Look, I got fired before I had to get another job, so should you. They don't have a lot of mercy for them people.
No, but you're right. But this is what I said. I said, listen, the budgets that they're talking about are public information. And just because Deutsche posts it out on their website and posts, these findings, I said the legitimacy of that is questioned. If then follow my logic. Say like for FEMA, Trump said FEMA was busted and yada 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 yada. Because I'm originally from North Carolina, so Hurricane Helene. All right. So he comes out and says FEMA budget that we approved for 2024, all those dollars didn't go to the allocations that we have spent. Shouldn't that go back to Congress and say, Congress, this was the budget you approved for in spring of 2024. This is where the money actually went.
I hear what you're saying, but MAGA ain't gonna go in all of that shit.
Yeah, I know.
They're gonna go with Trump. If they're gonna go with what's on the Doge website over any media outlet you can present, even if it's Fox, they're gonna go with what's on that Doge website. As long as Trump and Elon is telling them publicly that and putting it on X and putting it on Truth Social. So even if you're right, you're gonna be wrong in the eyes of MAGA. I gotta move it on, but like I said, go ahead.
Thank you so much. No, thank you so much for having me up. Listen, have a wonderful night. Take care.
Pleasure. Thank you. Come back anytime. All right, moving on with the program. Real quick in the comments, ask MAGA if they would accept a national AR-15 registration and buyback system. No, of course not. He says, so why the fuck would you want Ukraine to take that deal? How does that equate? You're saying ask MAGA if they would accept the national AR-15 registration and buyback. We know they're not going to take that. I get that. So why the fuck would you want Ukraine to take that deal? I'm trying to see how those things how do they equate to each other? An AR-15 registration and buyback, how does that equate to the Ukrainian deal? I don't get that, Will, but thank you for the super chat. And by the way, batteries for Elon. I did not think about what he just said, but yeah, that's crazy because Elon Musk basically gave Trump, sounds like several $100 million as an investment. That's really what that sounds like, is that he gave Trump a few $100 million for his campaign, knowing that once he's in office, he's going to do things so that I'll make a ton of money. I mean, it just was little. Now that's not unique to Elon, but the difference is Elon is making decisions that benefit him directly, whereas most of the time, let's say, for instance, you do have a business and you go to a lobby. I want him to lobby in favor of this or favor of that. Let's say, for instance, you make money off of for-profit prisons. So you want a few more laws to become felonies because it keeps people in prison longer. Well, normally you go through the lobbying system and things like that. You don't actually get to be put in a position of power to make the damn thing a felony yourself. Elon is actually given he's been given the reins to make these decisions. Literally created a whole organization for him. I get the feeling if this don't turn out good, it's going to turn out really bad because it looks like it could be the beginnings of something that's really corrupt, where this guy gave a bunch of money and then they created a whole organization for him to roam free on. And my guess is you're likely to see politicians in the future trying to do that. I mean, what would stop the liberals from coming in there and creating an organization just so George Soros could run it or Bill Gates. The right would go ape shit, but the left is going to bring up, well, what about Doge? What about Doge? You're okay with it then? We'll see how it turns out. But to me, it just reeks of possible corruption to do something like that, where the guy was not voted in, the guy has not been approved by the House or Senate. Essentially, Trump just came along and said, this is my guy. Well, why is he your guy? Well, he's a businessman. Okay, that's fine, but why this businessman? Then you find out he's giving him $300 million. I mean, it reeks of corruption. Hopefully Elon turns out to be great and he's doing all the right things for the country, but there's a lot of red flags written all over it. If for some reason this turns out wrong, the history books are going to say, how the hell did they ignore all these red flags? I mean, he literally bought his way in. Looking in the comments before we move on with the program, this guy twists everything to try and start shit. Says, who is that? What is the comment there? You guys know I don't block, ban, or censor. One of my viewers, I got to put on the spectacles. Amen Corner says, this guy twists everything to try and start shit. Amen Corner, come on over to YouTube, TikTok, or come on over to Instagram Live. I'll bring you right up, give you plenty of time to correct me where I'm wrong. You know, I'm willing to concede a point if you know what the hell you're talking about. If you really want to speak up, damn it, speak up. Going back to the box, continuing on. He said, I always twist shit. Speaking of a little bit of twisted, let me go to my MAGA side of the program. MAGA Reacts. Good evening, MAGA Reacts. So what do you think? Why is it looking like we're starting to side with Russia over the free world?
We're not. That's just fucking propaganda from the left. Trump just wants peace. He's been saying that from day one.
Then why is he, if he wants peace, why is he saying Zelensky's a dictator and all? Is that how you get peace? By calling Zelensky a dictator?
Well, it seems to me like he doesn't want peace, so why is he fighting the peace so hard?
What does that got to do with being a dictator? What does that got to do with being a dictator?
Because the second they have peace, they get elections.
Okay, but so you're saying that Zelensky is acting like a dictator in your opinion?
I don't know. I don't like the situation. They should have signed the deal. The deal is its own security. Like, how we're gonna get the medal if Russia attacks again? But you
hear what you're saying, that Zelensky doesn't want peace and he should sign this deal. And I'm telling you, if you're coming over saying that this guy started the war, you're saying that he is a dictator, you're saying that he refuses to hold elections, that, you know, I think Trump said his approval numbers are like 5%, when in reality they're over 50% in this country. I mean, why would Zelensky be favorable to Trump when Trump is saying so much awful shit about him?
I mean, Trump's doing it because Zelensky is an obstacle to his goal, which is peace. So if a person is an obstacle, you just make up a bunch of shit about him?
I'm not saying it was the best move. I'm just telling you why he's doing it. I mean, he took it back, didn't he? The day before.
No, he's never taken it back. He's never taken back calling Zelensky a dictator or saying that the guy started the war. He's never taken any of that back.
Well, him not repeating himself on a daily basis is his way of taking it back.
Oh, and you are right, but you expect a world leader to know some shit like that? That's some internal MAGA shit that, you know, if he don't keep repeating it, it wasn't true. Like the Haitian migrants, he don't keep repeating that.
No, like he was asked, he still think he's a dictator, and he didn't repeat it, and he kind of tried to joke it away, you know?
Who's laughing?
Brush it off like he never did it.
But remember, when he came to the White House, you got both Trump and J.D. Vance saying, you're disrespecting us, you're disrespecting the country. Do you not see, huh?
You kind of skipped ahead. Like, Zelensky was talking shit for 20, 30 minutes before that was even brought up.
Talking shit how? What did he say? What did he say?
J.D. Vance brought it up.
Talking shit how? What was he saying? Talking shit how?
Watch Megyn Kelly's review of the situation.
Oh my God.
She fucking points out all the shit. He was talking shit the whole time.
You're gonna tell me to watch
propaganda that, you know, that Trump's like Trump's talking about how Ukraine is destroyed and all that shit.
And he's trying to pretend like, no, it's not destroyed. Everything's fine. Everything's beautiful. Everybody's good. And he's like,
wait, hold on. You're trying to tell me to watch Megyn Kelly. That's like me telling you to watch Al Sharpton's review of Trump. Megyn Kelly is completely biased. There's nothing unbiased about Megyn Kelly. I mean, she's MAGA, basically.
You want Trump's point of view, don't you? You're not asking for Biden's point of view. You want Trump's point of view or MAGA's point of view. So
okay.
So she's very good at explaining everything. Like
she's
literally the whole time, anything Trump says, Zelensky is either rolling his eyes or he's fucking like saying the opposite or contradicting him the whole fucking time. And then like this part where he's like, I want peace, you know, I want to end to the killing. And Zelensky's like, hey, they invaded us. We have the right to kill them. Like, that's not.
Yeah, but see, that's what
One piece is the end to the killing on both sides, you know.
But that's what I keep telling you is that you're questioning why Zelensky is not jumping on board with Trump. Remember, Trump is claiming that he's the one that started the war to begin with. So why would he? Because Trump and J.D. Vance both were saying that he was disrespecting him. All of that stuff isn't that disrespecting Zelensky by saying that, you know, he's a dictator, he started the war. Did Trump not disrespect him?
Listen, Zelensky ran for the other side. He was literally campaigning with the other side. And on top of that...
What does that got to do with it?
Trump was polite as fuck to his face.
Wait a minute.
Trump was very polite, especially for Trump in his face. So what he says on Twitter when they're not together is completely different than in person with the guy.
So wait, hold up. So you say a bunch of shit about me on social media, but when I meet you, you're nice. I'm supposed to forget everything you said about me on social media?
I mean, Zelensky was just allied with his enemies, with Trump's enemies, with Biden and them.
You really
Look, Trump's Trump. What do you want me to say? Like,
I want you to say some shit that makes sense. Okay, Zelensky, he's calling him a dictator. What?
Had a good deal. He wanted the deal signed, and then we can start negotiating for peace and security and all the other things Zelensky wants. Because Zelensky's acting like that deal was with Russia. That deal was with
what I'm trying to get out of you is that, okay, you don't heard the guys called you a dictator. You don't heard the guys blamed you for the war. You don't heard that the guy has said that your poll numbers are in the trash can. When you meet this guy, you're supposed to be respectful and nice?
Yeah, because he's helping me get peace. I mean, does this guy want his country killed? Like all his people killed? Does he want Russia, like, taking over?
I don't...
If this guy is going to give me peace in my country and save my people and save my land...
I don't know what... And by the way, hold on. Dencal, appreciate that. Galley, thank you, Dencal. That did not go unnoticed. Appreciate that. I don't know what you're saying there, MAGA Reacts. You're basically saying that Zelensky, because he's pursuing peace, to just... This is the same shit that folks in this country say...
The problem is he wasn't pursuing peace. It doesn't seem like he wants peace at all.
Because he don't think you're offering peace. You're not offering him his country back that is under occupation. You're not offering them any security that if they invade again, you're going to do anything about. You're not offering peace. You're offering pieces of peace.
Life is guaranteed. He wants guarantees. Like, unless Trump has a time machine, he can't guarantee shit.
You would take this.
If he guaranteed it would be a lie. That's the other thing. The whole time, Trump's like, yeah, we're going to work on it. We're going to put troops there. I mean, Trump was like agreeing with him and trying to give him a bone the whole time. He's saying all the things you're saying, that he wants security and all that shit. Trump's like, yeah, we're going to have troops from Europe. We're going to have even our own troops to protect our mineral extraction. And, you know, it's like Syria. Trump wanted to be out of Syria. And then when everybody was complaining that we need to protect our allies and bullshit, Trump used the oil as an excuse to keep soldiers there.
Let me ask you.
Metals as an excuse to protect fucking Ukraine and to be in Ukraine.
Let me ask you just
Ukraine cuts off Russia and start a war with Russia.
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a great deal. How great do you think this deal is that he's offering Zelensky?
It's a fucking 8 or a 7.
With no security guarantees.
Protect his country. I know it's like not in writing, but It's gonna protect his country. It's gonna give him money.
How do
to
you
rebuild
know?
his country.
How do you know it's going to protect his country? How do you know that?
Because if we don't protect his country, how are we gonna get the medal out?
You,
How are we gonna get a medal if Russia is
you and I went over. Wait, hold on. You and I went over this last night where I gave you these.
That was a bullshit argument. I should have just
How?
stopped you.
Okay.
That was a bullshit argument.
Let me hold on. For shits and giggles, for the purpose of the audience at home that may have not been listening, I'll give you my side and then you tear it apart and make this shit make sense. Now I stated, let's say the state of Texas. Let's say the rare earth minerals are in El Paso, which is all the way on the western corner of the state of Texas. That's where the U.S. is mining shit. You're claiming that because the U.S. is mining stuff in El Paso, the whole state of Texas is safe from an attack. You're telling me that they're not going to fuck with Dallas because of what's going on 10 hours away in El Paso? So what makes you think that if we're in that country on one side mining earth minerals, that the other side is safe?
Well, let's look at Taiwan. Has China taken over half of Taiwan?
Taiwan's way smaller. Taiwan is way smaller than the Ukraine.
Okay, but again, like the medal is an excuse to be there. The medal is going to be an excuse to protect all of Ukraine. Trump can get the medal from anywhere else without all the.
Then why not offer security? Then why not just publicly offer security?
Because if he does that, he's like directly provoking Russia, and that's not going to lead to peace. That's just going to lead to more war.
So in other words, the only way to
hold on. Would you rather get it in writing and like get renege, or not get it in writing and actually get the protection?
Think about what you just said. You basically said that if we offer to give the Ukrainians security, that would promote or provoke Russia into more war. So the only way Russia signs a peace agreement is if they know the Ukrainians have no security. That's what you just said.
No, like officially saying the security is for Ukraine, yeah, then we're just provoking Russia. But if we say, hey, the security is to protect our metal extraction, then it's for the interest of America. And Trump could save face when it comes to MAGA, save face when it comes to Putin, to everybody. Like, he's like, I'm in here for the benefit of America.
What is stopping?
Saying how this war is bad for America, so now he has to make it good for America.
If the Ukrainians and Russians are about to go back to war, what is stopping the Russians from warning America that we're going to hit this side of the country? If you will, can you get your people to safety? Like we did in Syria when we bombed Syria when the Russians were there. We warned them ahead of time, and then the Russians got their people out of the way, and Trump sent over like 60 Tomahawks. What's stopping that, considering that you're not offering them any security? Just give the Americans a warning so that they can retreat for a little while, and then we'll bomb this shit out of the other side. If there's no security, what's stopping that from happening?
Listen, if that happens, then fucking, what's his name? Ukraine has a reason to not give us any more metal. I mean, we're basically being mercenaries, so they can just not pay us. I mean, you act like the metal is going to be like immediate credit card, that they're going to run our credit. They're going to run their credit card, and we're going to have their money, and we can screw them over afterwards.
Oh my God.
It's a long process where we have to protect them and protect our interests in Ukraine until we get our medal, and hopefully we're there for a long time until Putin's dead and Ukraine is safe, because that's the only way Ukraine's going to actually, the only real security is going to be Putin dying. Anything else, anything on paper, anything else is not even worth the paper it's written on.
How do you feel about the fact that the UK is offering to actually put boots on the ground and provide security? Why are they doing it?
Because it's more, that's actually good. Go for it. They can, that's what, I mean, it sounds like they're playing into Trump's hand. Then yeah, good. We get the best of both worlds.
No, you ain't getting shit in terms, because, wait, hold on. You're not getting the best of both worlds because there's no guarantee you're going to get the rare earth minerals at that point. You're not going to get shit. You're going to be kicked completely out of this deal.
Again, that's assuming the earth minerals is the goal. The earth minerals are just an excuse. The goal is to pay for Ukraine.
Wait a minute. I think you just spilled the beans.
Without costing us money. So if UK is doing it, if the Europeans are doing it, that's good, because now Ukraine's protected, and it's not going to cost us anything. What more can we want? We can get the metal from Ghana, we can get the metal from anywhere else. There's a lot easier and cheaper places to get the
Based
metal.
on just listening to the way you talking, to me, it strengthens my reserve that the Ukrainians probably should not get into a deal with the United States at all. You're kind of spilling the beans like that's just an excuse. All of this other bullshit. If they can get help from the Europeans, they should leave the United States the hell alone. If what you're saying is even remotely true, you're strengthening the reserve for why Zelensky did what he did. You don't sound convincing. You don't sound like a good choice to make. You don't sound like anything to partner with at all. I'll give you the last word.
The only reason the European shit's bullshit is they don't really. Europe doesn't have. Most of the world doesn't have a real army because they're counting on the United States to protect them. Canada doesn't have an army. NATO barely has an army. I mean, we protect most of the world with our fucking military that we're paying out the ass for. So, you know, in the end, it's gonna really only the United States could do this job. If Europe wants to pretend that they could do something, let them pretend, let them pay for it. But in the end, only the United States could do it, so they should take the deal.
Well, I can tell you one thing: if they do it, they're going to replace America. A lot of our superpower status throughout Europe is going to drop. If we force them to step up to the plate and they're able to do that, and they're able to show that they can do shit without us, that's exactly what they're going to be doing going forward. Is things without us because
With what army?
You realize how much manpower is in Europe? You realize they do make decent weapons over there. They do have nuclear weapons over there. They're not as weak as we would like to believe.
You've already said 100 times to me that the nukes are useless on both sides, that you're not afraid of the nukes.
Well, say what?
The side's not going to nuke anything either. You need actual manpower, and you have to do it in a way not to piss off Russia. And, I don't know. I think they're better off with the United States.
No. Not under Trump. I don't think.
Europe,
I don't think the Ukrainians.
I don't think they can do it.
I don't think the Ukrainians are better off with the United States under Trump because his heart is not in it. He's not on the side of the Ukrainians. I mean, once you started calling the guy a dictator and saying all this awful stuff about him, it's pretty clear you're not an ally.
Well, he's not. He hasn't proven himself to be an ally to Trump. He needs to do that. And Trump just wants peace. He's been saying that from day one. And, the fact that Zelensky met with Democrats right before meeting with Trump, and it seems, there's people are saying that possibly the Democrats influenced him to reject this deal. And,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We totally disagree. Before I want to ask you real quick, I gotta move it on. But somebody in the comments,
watch everything from the beginning. He was trying to provoke Trump the whole time. The fact that Trump held his tongue for as long as he did.
Listen, as long as you calling the man a dictator and all that shit, saying he provoked Trump, you're saying he provoked Trump because you're skipping over all the shit Trump said about him before. So that makes no sense to me. Trump said all that stuff about him, but now you're provoking Trump. Trump disrespected the hell out of that guy. But I want to ask you this in the comments.
Not after his face, not after his
I don't. What the hell does that matter?
And then he showed up and fucking tried to.
That makes no. You get no points for that. You say a bunch of shit about me on your own social media page, but because you didn't say it to my face, it doesn't matter. That makes no sense at all.
It doesn't matter, but
it matters. It matters. In fact, let me tell you this. Hold on, let me tell you this. In fact, I'll tell you this. The fact that you said all of that on social media and then you're acting nice to my face makes you look two-faced as hell. I mean, which you is the real you? The guy on social media or the guy standing before me? That actually makes him look two-faced.
It's not that he's two-faced. I used to be part of this little it's very hard to explain, but it's like a alliance of people. It's a video game alliance, and I hate to bring it up because it's gonna sound stupid, but long story short, we were always like the best friends to our friends and the worst enemies to our enemies, and that's how Trump is. He's gonna talk shit until you're on his side, and then he's gonna be your best friend.
And I'm assuming that if Zelensky had said all that shit about him on social media, he would have been willing to be friendly with him too, right?
I mean, if Zelensky, I mean, how many people have talked shit? Fucking JD Vance is right next to him, and he talked shit about him 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But he changed his tune, and Trump accepted it. Trump, like, I mean, and you know you laugh every time I say this, but Trump's a businessman. He doesn't really hold grudges. If you want to be his friend, he'll be your best friend. If you want to oppose him, he'll fucking talk shit about you and be your worst enemy. And he switches on a fucking dime. It's not because he fucking flip-flops. It's because he's a businessman and he just wants to get his deal done.
I'll see you next semester in 4th grade. I gotta go. Appreciate it. All right, moving on with the Bible. I don't know, like I said, you're gonna say all this shit about him on social media, and then when you meet him, you're gonna, well, let's be respectful now. As if he ain't heard about all this stuff. Trump's statements about Zelensky, certainly the one he made about Zelensky starting a war, that shit has been spread around the world. I mean, television stations around the world are playing video clips of Trump saying Zelensky started a war. But then when he meets him in person, well, he didn't say that in person to him. That really makes him look two-faced. Let me go back to the box. Hubert Kermerdell says Zelensky has negotiated a ceasefire with Putin before. Putin agreed and then broke the deal. No, USA never offered troops. And that is true. And that's what Zelensky brought up when he was in the White House with Trump. I think it was J.D. Vance was saying something like that. And he said, look, we done already made plenty of deals with this dude. And he keeps violating them. He talked about there was a hostage exchange. I guess the Ukrainians gave back some Russian hostages. And the Russians were supposed to give back some Ukrainian hostages. And he reneged on that. Now they were, and that's when J.D. Vance goes, well, you can't it's wrong to relitigate this in front of the American people. Yeah, but he has legitimate points. So, I mean, but the fact is, it sounds like the UK is offering a hell of a lot more to the Ukrainians than Americans are. Now I know if you're on the MAGA side, hey, look, that's great, let them pay so we don't have to. As Zelensky stated, you will feel this in the future because it will greatly reduce American influence by that happening. Dencal, good evening, welcome to the program. You always follow MAGA Reacts, my God.
I always follow. You always bring me up after him. You did this.
I didn't do that. Well, maybe you think he said the right things today.
Oh my God, man! Look. Just like you give like Trump credit for shit he don't deserve, I give you credit for some shit you don't deserve. You was really on here arguing the most insane points like ever in the history of mankind. Like he was like, oh yeah, well, Zelensky should be doing this and he should be doing this. And yeah, even though he was insulted and the man said he started the damn war where he didn't watch 100,000, hundreds of thousands of his people died, he should come to the White House and be like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, to me, that would make him look weak as hell to have this guy going around saying all this awful stuff about you and just. I mean, obviously Zelensky does want peace, and I guess the claim is if you want peace, you should be willing to kiss my Converse, Last Dragon style. But
look, he might have been willing to do that for real peace. But when he gets to the White House, all he gets to sign is a piece of paper saying, give 50% of his country's, mineral rights to America with no security agreements or anything. Yeah. I would have done the damn thing as he did. I would have said, look, hey, that's not what we agreed upon.
But what about what my last guest, MAGA Reacts, was saying is that by us being in the country, mining their rare earth minerals, that gives them some security.
That's the stupidest shit ever. That is the dumbest shit ever.
You disagree, obviously.
If I give up all of our rare earth materials, wherever we're digging and mining is going to be protected, but the rest of the goddamn country can get taken over. Yeah. And I don't get no security agreement from you when the lady
my God! He told a bomb could fall on their head.
What if they drop a bomb on your head right now?
That was insulting. That was insulting. That was pretty much saying nothing. I mean, that was insulting to tell her that. You know, what if a bomb falls on your head? Like, damn. Yeah, that was downright insulting. And certainly the way he said it, he made it clear he had no tolerance for her question at all.
Right, but I'm saying people acting like he came to the White House and he disrespected the White House. No, he came to the White House thinking that there was going to be some type of security agreement and he was going to turn over rights to minerals from his own country to secure security agreements. And he gets there and they say, all you got to sign is the mineral rights. And we'll get to you later on. Look, we talked to Russia. We'll talk to you later on after you sign over 50% of the mineral rights of your country.
Yeah, that's why Zelensky earlier on, they were complaining that Trump was negotiating a peace deal with the Russians, and they were not involved in it. Like, what kind of negotiations is this?
The same thing he did with the Taliban in Afghanistan. He negotiated with the terrorists and didn't even have a conversation with the people we were supposed to be on the side of.
Yeah. And that country now is in control by the Taliban. The Taliban now runs that country, so.
Exactly. And now, Putin comes out today and says, now we are in alignment. Us in the United States of America are in alignment in our foreign affairs.
Yeah, he did say that. He did actually say that.
What in the holy fuck is going on in this country? Yes, he said that, and he invited Trump and President Xi to come to his victory ceremony.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something, in my opinion, I really want to be wrong on this one, but, somebody, I think Will may have said, somebody sent me an inbox on this, and it made perfect sense. It almost sounds like, 2 or 3 mob families in New York depicting which boroughs they're going to control. Like, we're going to divide the 5 boroughs up amongst each other. And if I got the Bronx, you worry about what you're doing over in Harlem. You don't come in my territory. I'll make a promise not to come in yours. It sounds like Xi Jinping rather, maybe Vladimir Putin and Trump may be playing that role. We're going to divide up the damn planet.
Exactly. That is exactly what is going on. And I can't understand why anybody that has a conscious understanding and looks at what's going on does not understand. Remember when you always be saying stuff like, hey, maybe Trump was right. No, we were right when we said Trump is a fucking Putin troll. Like he's saying right now that we should side with Russia when Russia literally offers us nothing. Because we know that Trump is transactional. Like if you offer us something, like he'll be down with it. But Russia offers us nothing. They've never offered us nothing. They've always been trying to take our country over. And now he's saying today, he eliminated the people in the Department of Defense that used to find out like what Russia was doing, like cybersecurity. He literally shut down that office in our government to look what Russia is doing cybersecurity wise.
Now I know what's being done. You're getting rid of these folks to prevent resistance, as you're alluding to. But is there a point where you reach a point where you've gotten rid of so many people that we don't have enough to function government? Even if you're trying to make it so that the people that are in there are your loyalists, are we moving too fast in terms of getting rid of folks?
I'll give you a quick synopsis of one thing. I was reading today and I was looking at there was he was a secretary. He used to be in charge of the Social Security, and he said he's watching everything that's going on, and I mean, he was in charge like a month or two ago
Okay.
during the Biden administration. He said within about 30 to 60 days, the Social Security system is going to break down.
Who said that?
The last Social Security Department administrator, I forgot his name, but he was in charge of Social Security.
What would cause it to break down?
Because they've gotten rid of so many employees.
Okay. So exactly what I'm talking about.
Look, everybody getting their check every month. It takes a lot of people to,
Right.
put in input information. Yeah. He said within 30 to 90 days, and I talked to my mother about this today. If you get your check this month, hold your money. You know what I'm saying? Don't do frivolous spending, and I've been doing that for the last 3 to 4 months. But they're about to fuck up a whole lot of shit in this country. You can't just remove 50% of an organization.
Yeah. That's what I'm wondering. I mean, because when Elon is allegedly fighting waste, fraud, and abuse, but he's making it sound like damn near the whole federal government is waste, fraud, and abuse. It can't be that much fucking waste, fraud, and abuse in it. I mean, he's making it sound like it literally is most people working for the federal government are unnecessary.
Right, and a lot of people that want to believe in what he's doing will say yes. At the same time, he's removing checks that's going to them.
What are the chances that if this backfires, Trump says something to the effect of, look, I thought he was a smart guy we could trust, but apparently he was, just like the rest of them. And Trump walks away without having to take credit for this.
I mean, that's his MO. But us as a society, we can't let him do that. We can't let him get to the pinnacle and just say
you can't stop him. If we do head down this awful path that you're alluding to, there's no way to stop him. I mean, right now the Republicans are in charge, and they're standing by their man.
I know, but we also are watching these town hall meetings where these people are talking to their senators and their representatives, and they're asking them.
What do they do though? But then, if you're a Republican congressman and you got a bunch of angry folks showing up to a town hall meeting, but if you go against Trump, he's going to do what he can to prevent you from getting reelected as well. You're caught in between a rock and a hard place. What do you do? Because, like I said, if you go against Trump, you'll appease the people at the town hall meeting, but they're probably viewing you. They're probably viewing you as if you've already fucked up. So they're likely not going to vote for you again anyway. So what do?
You do exactly what these people are doing. You change the subject and everything, and you understand you're not going to be in office again. And that's what they're doing. If you listen to these people in these town halls, they're changing the subject. They're like, no, Trump is not the problem. Like, everybody else in the world is the problem. But they're not going to be in office anymore.
Yeah, I saw a town hall. Yeah, I saw a town hall not long before I got on the program where a woman said, she started out by saying, "Look, I want to guarantee you folks that we are not paid actors that are coming here from the Democrats." And then she asked him, what are you going to say about them throwing up these Nazi salutes and all that? And he did exactly what you tried to change the subject, and
You know what? He never answered the question. He started talking about everything under the sun. He never said anything about Nazi salutes or nothing.
Yeah, and she asked him again the second time because at the end it was like, well, you haven't answered my question, so repeat the question. And, he didn't want to answer. He would not touch that.
He went off in the same, thing. He never answered the question.
Yeah,
because he doesn't have an answer to the question.
So what are you suggesting? Maybe a shellacking in the midterms?
I don't know that we can make it 2 years, man. I'm just gonna be honest.
Damn.
Look, I started talking to my mother. Look, I started gathering supplies. I'm a military veteran, so I know how to get it on and everything. But I've like, the government would be able to, be able to go through everything or anything. But now I'm not so sure, man. And I'm starting to gather food, and all that stuff.
Do they make black preppers? You sound like you're a prepper.
No, I'm not a prepper, because at the end of the day, if it really go down, I'm going to go to my neighbor's house and I'm going to take their provisions, because that's what we do from Detroit. But I mean, I'm just telling you.
Oh my God! So you gonna be a zombie? You gonna be the zombie?
I do want to be, semi-prepared, so that the people, I've talked to people, I've said, look, when it really go down, come to my house. We gonna get together, And I never was like that, because I've always thought like the American government would prevail over everything. But then when I watch the American government and I see that they done fired every black person.
Wow.
Every black person that was in the military leadership, you could do your thing, handsome liberal. You could tell me like, well, maybe it's just because they don't agree with.
You know my spiel on it. I know folks believe that DEI is about hiring people that do not have merit and things like that, but I've said this many times that affirmative action has been around since the 80s. DEI has been around at least a decade or more. If so many folks are getting hired that do not have merit, you should be able to show us all sorts of fuck-ups that have come from, whether it's the police department, whether it's black or female pilots that have crashed aircraft. Where are all of the people that don't have merit? The people you're firing, their records seem to be fairly good. So I don't see the lack of merit.
Society, we know that's a fucking lie. But then, look, earlier when I was listening to like MAGA Reacts, on the show, I was like, maybe I should like join and like we should have a conversation, because he called me out a couple times like, yeah, maybe I should be on the same time as him. That dude has no understanding of civil life when it comes to minorities. He has no understanding when he's talking about Zelensky is sitting there. He done came to this country and he wants to secure peace for his country, and he gets here and all he gets is a contract shoved in his face that says, give up the rest of your mineral rights to your country for the next 500 years, and we're not going to give you no security agreements. I would have, look, if I was Zelensky right there, I would have stood up and I would have slapped the shit out of Donald Trump.
Oh my God. So they're going to throw Zelensky in jail. I'll tell you this. I think that Zelensky knew when he came over to the United States, he was unlikely to sign a contract based on what they were offering, but I think his goal.
No, I disagree. I think he thought that they were going to, provide him with some security agreements.
I don't think it was that.
Come on.
I think what he was trying to do was prevent Trump from literally controlling the narrative by saying, look, we tried to offer him the best deal you could ever get. This was the beautiful and biggest deal anybody could ever get. And this guy just wants to continue war and he refused it. I think by coming over here, he basically prevented Trump from controlling the narrative. But because in America, you're not going to hear what Zelensky had to say. We don't sit around watching, the speeches at the EU and things like that. So
That's so liberal. They fucking lied to him before he got here. When he got here, he thought he was going to sign a security agreement along with the mineral agreements. But when he got there, they was like, well, go ahead and sign the mineral agreements, and then we're going to holler at you later. He said, no. I'm not doing that.
The switcheroo.
And he was the guy in the room who said, look, you can say what you want to and everything. That is the most courageous man, since I've seen, like maybe Martin Luther King or somebody. He knew that he was in enemy territory. And he said, I'm not signing this shit.
Yep. He certainly is a brave man. There's no denying, because He was offered asylum at the beginning of the war. You know, they basically told him, you know, I don't need a way out. I need ammunition. He's made it clear that he is a war, you know, a war leader, which is why when Trump said
They trying to get rid of him, talking about, oh, if you just go ahead and have a new election.
Right.
Why?
Because they ain't no, yeah, because they get somebody else.
Why? You know, Elon Musk is in charge of all elections throughout the world right now. Go ahead and have an election, and then we'll get the fuck out of here. Stop it.
All right, then, Cal. Preach on. Appreciate you coming through. And by the way, thanks for the support, man.
All right. You
Good
know
talk.
what it is?
Thank you. Appreciate it. And by the way, because Trump is calling for an election in the Ukraine. Let's be clear, folks. The Ukrainians been under war. They've been at war for 3 years. You know what happens during war? People get displaced. You know, women and children flee the country trying to get away from the danger. So a lot of the Ukrainian citizens are no longer in the Ukraine. The men are obviously either deceased or within the trenches fighting and things like that. About 20-30% of the country is currently occupied by the Russians. How the hell are you going to hold an election under that? How can you possibly expect them to hold a legitimate election under those circumstances? Where a large portion of the country are refugees in another country, some of their territory is occupied by Russia. You know Russia's not going to let them folks be able to vote. Imagine if we had occupation in America where you had several of the Bible Belt states in the South that were occupied by the enemy. They're not going to, the voting down there is not going to happen. So why would we expect them to hold an election in the middle of this shit? Other than Russia wants that election because they can probably install a Russian-friendly leader in that country. Not to mention with Zelensky being so brave like that, if you roll the dice, you're probably not. The next guy's probably not going to be that fucking brave. So they want to get rid of Zelensky. That's kind of what they're doing. Will G says all Trump and MAGA did was vilify Zelensky and made Putin blush. Yeah, they definitely gave Putin a hard on. I mean, I would assume the Russians got to be like, damn, how did we get so damn lucky with this guy? I mean, because he's not saying anything negative about Russia at all. He almost sounds like Russia light when it comes to going after Zelensky. I mean, Trump is echoing a lot of the same things the Russians are. Russian came out with a statement today saying that the U.S. was changing foreign policy to Russia, to Russia's vision. Yeah, somebody else mentioned that. That the Russians released a statement that says the U.S. foreign policy is now in line with their own, which is why I started the live off by asking, why is it appearing we're starting to side with Russia? Now MAGA reacts disagree with that, but how could you possibly see otherwise? We've said a bunch of negative things about Zelensky, virtually nothing negative about Russia. He wouldn't even clarify whether Putin was a dictator or not. He's certain Zelensky's a dictator, but he wouldn't even say that Putin was a dictator. Now, what he said when asked, well, what am I supposed to say? Are you ready to make this deal while calling the guy a dictator? That's his excuse for not calling Putin a dictator, is that I can't insult the guy and then expect him to make a deal with me. Well, you had no problem doing it to Zelensky. So it sounds like he's making excuses almost. But what say you? Yeah, that was me, the 5 territories of Europe. Yeah, Putin, Western Hemisphere, Trump, Asia, Poland. Okay, this is the division I was talking about. And this is Will that said that. He said the 5 territories of Europe. He's saying that Putin would get the Western Hemisphere. Trump would get Asia, Polynesia, and Xi gets the Middle East. BB gets. Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Maybe I'm reading this backwards. You're saying Xi Jinping would get Asia, the leader of China. Middle East goes to Netanyahu. Netanyahu, that would really be a bad spot for him. I mean, he would be the most hated out of all of them. But in other words, Putin gets the Western Hemisphere. Is that what you said? No, okay, you said Putin gets Europe. You got the names backwards. Okay, Putin is getting Europe. Trump is getting the Western Hemisphere. Xi Jinping gets Asia, and Bibi Netanyahu gets gets the Middle East, and he's saying that Elon Musk could possibly get Africa. Wow. Wow. But I'm just telling you, it does almost sound like that's what they're attempting to do. I want to be wrong on this really, really bad. But it does sound like all of the most hated leaders are the ones that Trump seems to be favoring, siding with. I mean, now the leader of Hungary is also a dictator, and I know Trump has spoken favorably of him as well. He's been hanging around Kim Jong-un. I mean, why is he doing that? What is the purpose of that? I mean, he's spoken negatively of Angela Merkel. He's not a fan of Justin Trudeau. He's not a fan of the female out in Mexico. I mean, he's not a fan of hardly any of our leaders in our allied countries. But most of the countries we've been enemies with, he seems to like. Why the 180-degree change? Somebody explain that to me. It says, the real sad thing MAGA is going to fuck around and find out about is Trump is one of those people that never give opportunity and ultimate power to. Once he is in, he will never come out. Well, he is in already. He's in already. So I guess there is one thing for folks who do not favor Trump or are concerned that Trump may end up trying to serve another term. You got one thing going for you. He's old. He's old. He is currently, 78, 79? So he'll be in office till he's like 82, 83. So if he was to try to serve another term, you're talking about the guy is in his early 80s and would be serving at least till he's in his mid 80s. That's not to say the dude won't live to be 100 years old, but that is one thing. And I guess the other thing going is that not many, unless they change the rules so Elon Musk could run, I don't know any other Republican that has the adoration and love that Trump has. So if Trump were to pass away, I think that there would be an immediate fracturing within the Republican Party because everybody wants to be Trump and nobody is. None of them are. Ron DeSantis showed he is not, and he was one of the rock stars in the party. Who else is a rock star? J.D. Vance, I suppose. Trump said, even Trump came out and said he won't be a successor. So it's not J.D. Vance. Who would it be? Vivek Ramaswamy is certainly not, for a lot of reasons. So if something were to happen to Trump, the party would. I don't think Congress, the way they are now, where they're kind of almost in line behind Trump no matter what he does, I don't think any other leader in the Republican Party could get that kind of cooperation from all of Congress like that. So if something were to happen to Trump, that party would probably fracture somewhat. Not to say they wouldn't still beat the Democrats, because the Democrats don't have a damn leader right now either. But that party would not be as united as they are under Trump right now. Looking in the comments, whether MAGA wakes up or not, it will be too late. Everyone is getting screwed. I can see MAGA saying, I supported you. Trump says thank you and proceeds to have foot on necks. Wow. You're saying that Trump is going to give MAGA the George Floyd treatment. Wow. Damn. I'm trying to see how I can spin that. I can't really. Because he did say, I don't care about you. I just need your vote. I mean, it ain't like he didn't give the warning. I want to spin it, but I can't. Trump is going to get Barron. You think? No, I don't think Barron. Barron needs to be speaking up right now. Let me go back to the box. AOC and Jasmine Crockett. AOC, guess who was talking about running again? Tim Walz. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz indicated that he wouldn't be opposed to running. You think Tim Walz can pull it off? You think the Democrats may need a white guy? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Going back to the box, I think this says all of the life. Is that what I'm looking at? Good evening. Welcome to the program. Is that Mr. Mobetta in there? All of the life. Good evening.
What's up, man? It's Allodial Life.
Well, okay, Allodial Life. Okay. What?
It's Timmy Tim.
I know who it is. Okay, so to quote the line in The Hangover, what the hell is going on? Well, I mean, why are we siding with Russia?
Well, you know what? I think there's a lot of stuff that we've heard in the past about Russia that maybe not exactly true.
Give me some examples.
The different ways that everyone feels about, Putin are pretty much manufactured by what we hear on the internet or what we hear on the media. And in my opinion, there's a lot that gets done. Putin has said a lot to the American people that wouldn't strike me as being wrong.
You do realize, like, the whole world thinks that Putin is a bad guy. It ain't just the United States or our media. I mean, all of Western Europe, all of Eastern Europe, they all think this dude is a bad guy. Why is that? They all got bad media?
Are they all on NATO?
No. Ukraine is not in NATO.
Yeah, but Ukraine's different. That's a part of Russia that's trying to succeed from Russia. That's like if Texas was trying to succeed from the United States.
Yeah, but is it possible that they're trying to get into NATO because they think he's a bad guy? Like Romania just recently joined NATO. They thought he was a bad guy before they were in NATO.
Well, I can tell you this much. There's a lot of American people who are actually moving to Russia currently. I follow a lot of them on TikTok. I mean, yeah, there's a lot, bro. Believe it or not, it's actually a thing. And I think that if you ask different people who within Russia, you'll get a different story from them as well. So it's kind of hard to say from the outside looking in, as far as what would make people say, well, this is a bad guy.
Why the hell would you move? Did they not see what happened to Brittany Griner with a little bit of vape? Why the hell would you move to Russia?
I have no idea, man. I wouldn't do it because I'm not Russian. But there's a lot of people who have Russian descent that I've actually seen on TikTok for myself. They're moving there and they're talking to other people on TikTok about how they did it and what they got to do to be able to do it. So I don't know.
Let me ask you this question: Do you? Let's just go by your personal opinion. Let's take the media out of it. Just on your personal opinion, do you believe Russians are as free as Americans?
I do.
Really? They can own guns. They can speak ill of their.
No, okay. If you're taking it from that standpoint, no, I can't say I do. No.
Can they publicly walk down the street and speak ill of their leader like you can do in America?
Yes.
I have not heard this.
Even in China, they can though.
I have not heard that either.
I've got friends in China who tell me all the time that that's not the case at all. There's a lot of different things that we hear out here that we think are true, but they're not.
So if you walk down the street or you buy a billboard and you put up Putin's face and you call him a baby or whatever,
you're taking that shit to the extreme now, Tim.
I'm telling you what they do in the United States.
I get where you're coming from and I understand where you're coming from, but I think this is another reason why us as Americans, we should focus on America first and not really worry about, let other countries deal with their own issues. And I think that when we have a strong America in the world can become stronger too.
Okay, the reason why I brought this up, now you're talking about, worried about America first. I brought all this stuff up. You say I'm going to the extremes because you started out by saying that Russians are as free as Americans. The reason I'm bringing this stuff up is because if you're less free there, why the hell would you move there?
You know what? Like I said, Tim, I couldn't tell you. I just know that I have a lot. I could give you one guy. His name's Yarboslav. That's what he calls himself, Yarboslav.
Well, shit, he probably is Russian. That's why he's just going home to be with his family.
Nah, he's American, but he's of Russian descent, and he's on TikTok all the time, live, and talking on his videos about, how the misconceptions of America and this and that. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Again, my standpoint personally is let America worry about America, let Russia worry about Russia. Ukraine being part of Russia. I think we see for ourselves in that meeting that they had, what happens when you get a small guy with a big guy for a friend. To me, that thing was completely humiliating.
How so?
From both ends, but I think it also needed to happen because to me, it's actually a better thing if people are having those conversations in the media and we're watching it on TV live than for them to be having it behind closed doors and us to hear about it afterwards. I personally like that better.
Okay. So, do you agree with Vance and Trump that that Zelensky was disrespectful and all of that?
Oh, absolutely. I think it was totally disrespectful. For him to be rolling his eyes, huffing and puffing. You talk about being presidential. Was that presidential in your mind?
Well, according to Trump, he's not president. He's a dictator.
Well, if you cancel elections in your country and you start having people who are your adversaries arrested, You are kind of a dictator, aren't
So
you?
you're saying he canceled the election. So you're saying that right now, while they're at war, they should hold an election.
If we didn't in the United States, would we say that Trump was a dictator?
If we were at war to the level they are, that would be like trying to hold an election on December 7, 1941 in Hawaii.
Hold on. Explain to me why you say at the level that they are. What level do you perceive them to being at war?
Some of their countries currently under occupation. Millions of their citizens are displaced and not even in the country. How do you hold an election under that environment?
Have you seen their cities?
Yeah, they're bombed out.
Which ones?
Kyiv.
I've seen Kyiv.
Go
You
ahead.
go to Kyiv live on TikTok. You can find people on TikTok live seeing and see for yourself live what their city looks like. It's nothing wrong with it.
But the people are not there, is what I'm telling you. People have fled the country. How they gonna
That's
vote?
not true either. That's not true either. It's a small segregated area where this war is taking place.
Poland has taken in over 1 million refugees. You're telling me that's not true?
Honestly, man, you never know what's true with the numbers that they produce. You're over here talking about the numbers that Trump's talking about, saying that they're not true, but you're saying that every number that they put out in Ukraine is true?
This
I don't
doesn't.
get it.
Okay, let me just say it this way. If we were at war for 3 solid years and the country we were at war with was beating us and occupying our country, you would have 1 million Americans flee this country. Why is that so hard to believe?
They're going to flee the country? Where are they going to go?
Other neighboring countries that would take them.
So Mexico or Canada.
Yeah.
So they're not going to go to another state.
Maybe, maybe not. That might. Why would you? If you could listen, if America's being invaded, why would you risk going to another state knowing that might be the next place they come when Canada or Mexico is offering refugee status? Why not just leave?
Because you're still in your country. You're still in the country. There's refugee points within our country.
But that ain't what happened. Romania, and I know for a fact, Poland is over 1 million refugees in that country. They have fled that country. They're not there.
Talking about countries smaller than some states.
But you're telling me you want to hold an election with all of these people gone?
No. I'm telling you that if Trump was to cancel our elections for any reason, what would the liberals have to say about that?
Who gives a damn? You don't care about what the liberals got to say?
Everybody's going to have something to say because nobody can cancel our elections,
Okay.
right? They have to happen no matter what.
No, they don't have to happen no matter what. So
When has our elections ever been canceled? We've been at war. We've been at World War I, World War II.
we have never been. We've never been at war to the point where we were occupied and under what they're under in Ukraine. We've never been. Our backs have never been to the wall that much. I mean, they got 20% of their country is currently occupied by Russia. What about those people? How they gonna vote?
Hey, well, like I said, man, it's up to that country to handle that country's affairs.
Why would you hold an election in that environment, though?
Well, I mean, you're going off what you think that environment is, but I'm telling you, what I've seen, that environment is nothing like that.
So you're telling me none of that country is under occupation by Russia?
That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that the way that it's been blown out of proportion makes it sound like it's something that should be concerning the way you're concerned with it.
So the people that are in the areas that are under occupation, if you hold an election, how do they get to vote?
I mean, like I said, Tim, it's up to them to do it. You know what I mean? I have no.
How does it? Tell me how they could do it. If it's up to them, tell me how they could vote. If the Russians have their neighborhoods, their part of the country under occupation, you said it's up to them. Tell me how they could vote.
Just hold the election. They held the election and they shot it down. Remember?
Wait, no. What I'm saying is, if the Russians have part of the country under occupation, how do you hold an election when Russia controls your area?
How do you not?
This makes no sense at all. You're telling me that they're going to let them hold a free election in Russia, who has the country under occupation, is not going to interfere with that at all. They're going to just let them hold a free election, is what you're saying, right?
What I'm saying is this: you're trying to get me to answer something that I've never been in that situation, just like
You
you
don't.
never have.
I don't need to get ran over by a car to know it hurts. I mean, what are you talking about?
That's the same shit. That's That's not the same at all. You're talking about millions of people's lives, man. This is millions of people's lives and millions of people's freedom. You're talking about a completely different situation, man. You don't have the answer to that, neither do I. So
This makes you're telling me you're admitting what you're saying. Just it sounds like it's out in space. You're admitting that some of the countries under occupation, but they should hold an election anyway. You're admitting that some of the people may have fled the country, but they should hold an election anyway. Just for the sake of just to be able to say we held an election. You got soldiers that are in the trenches and shit. What are they supposed to do? Lead a war zone and go find a polling place?
Do a mail-in ballot, shit. Do a mail-in ballot. We got mail-in ballots. Whatever, man. I don't care. Do whatever you gotta do. But if you don't cancel the elections, you're a dictator. That's all it's to it.
All right.
Let me ask you this, Tim. Let me ask you this. Is there? And I want a serious answer from you, please.
Oh, you want me to be serious, huh? Really?
Is there anything that Trump could do that would make you say, "Holy shit, way to go, man, good job"?
Yeah.
That was freaking excellent the way you handled that. What would it be?
Provide them with security.
Why? Why do we have to provide with?
You asked a question. I gave you an answer.
Why would that be something that you would say, okay, good job, Trump? What benefit does that have to anybody in the United States if that's the only thing that you can think of?
You asked a question, I gave an answer, so now you're picking apart the answer?
No, I'm trying to understand your answer, that's all.
My answer is because just like what Zelensky said, rather, once they get done with us, they're going to go to a NATO member nation next, and then that involves us in war. That's why I favor it. If you stop them at Ukraine, it prevents it from getting to a broader conflict where America may be forced to intervene by Article 5. That's why I favor it.
You're missing the fact that the reason why this whole thing started was because we moved too close with NATO.
No.
That was the
and I've heard that. And to me, that's a crock of shit. First of all, there was never any official vote to put the Ukraine in NATO. So for Russia to attack based on something that at the very best was a hope and wish of the Ukraine, that's not acceptable. I can see if they were actually holding votes to decide or something like that. None of that was happening. So Russia don't have the right to attack, saying, well, you guys are thinking about joining NATO, so we're going to attack.
So when we moved in with NATO to Belarus, that was okay?
What?
When NATO moved in with Belarus, that was okay?
Belarus is a staunch supporter of Russia. They have nothing to do with NATO. They're on Russia's side.
If we moved into Belarus, that'd be okay?
If Belarus... And by the way, too, let me make something clear also. There is no official agreement that Russia has to say that America cannot cannot join other countries into NATO.
Yes, there was.
No, it's not. That agreement never took place. I know what folks are talking. That never happened. There's no official agreement that says that.
How can you say that? Look it up.
Okay, fine. I disagree with you 100%, but let's say you're right. Let's say that agreement exists. It never happened. None of these countries ever joined NATO, so why is Russia launching an attack?
Because Ukraine was trying to get us to let them join NATO. We were paying them all kinds of money. They could see it coming, and just in the fact that we were moving in that close, it violated that agreement.
It didn't. The agreement is that you cannot join NATO. It's not that we cannot see the writing on the wall. The agreement says you can't join NATO. They didn't do that. So you don't have a right to attack. They stepped up and made an excuse to attack.
You're telling me he basically begged in the White House to let them join NATO.
That ain't the agreement. The agreement is
that they weren't trying.
The agreement is not that you can't beg to join NATO. The agreement is you can't join NATO. There was never a vote.
They should have waited till they joined, and then after the fact, fight another war to get them back out of it.
You can't just attack somebody because they are indicating they wish they could do something. That's all I'm saying.
Money and funded and everything. So yes, you can assume that hey, they're getting the funding, they're getting the weaponry, they're getting everything they need to be part of NATO.
You do realize to join NATO, all of the states have to vote in favor of you joining. That we didn't come close to that happening.
Tell me which ones they're not gonna vote for them.
We don't know because it never was held.
Tim, you know as well.
So hold on. So you really think that what happened was so you think Russia had a legitimate reason to attack them?
Absolutely.
All right. Then we'll end it at that. I think that's crazy, but we'll leave it at that. And you want them to hold an election in the middle of a war too, so we'll leave it at that. Thanks for coming through as always. Come on back anytime, man. Appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program. You guys know how what we always say on the program. We don't block, ban, or censor. We're MAGA friendly. My last caller was MAGA. No issue with that, but we just disagree on everything. The idea that they want, I see in the comments, but it says Pitts Edition says, thank God. The idea that you would expect the Ukrainians to hold an election in the middle of that shit, that's insane. Well, they could have mail-in ballots. They getting shot up, drones and shit. You gonna come from out of your hiding place to go and cast a ballot. I don't know. To me, that sounds like a bit of privilege in that. Listen, what America has experienced while at war is significantly softer than what the Ukrainian people are experiencing. We've been at war with the Vietnamese in most of our lifetimes, I'm talking about. So you may have lived through the Vietnam War. Some of you may have been old enough to live through the Korean War, but let's say Vietnam. You lived through Desert Storm, Desert Shield, then you lived through the Enduring Freedom or Iraqi Freedom. What else have we had? You know, there's a small invasion in Panama. There's been a bunch of these little conflicts. In America, you can still live life as normal. You heard about the shit on TV, but for the most part, it did not affect your life while we were in any of those wars. The Ukrainians can't say that. It's not the same. It's just nowhere near the same. So he's trying to use, at least in my opinion, he's trying to use the American way of life under war and somehow suggest that that's how the Ukrainians are, mail-in ballots like we did. No, this country is destroyed, and I mean, people, there's shit going on everywhere. You're not going to be able to hold an election. And then, of course, no answer at all for how do the people that are in occupied territory vote. Well, he said they'll figure it out, I guess. All right, looking in the comments, the guy thinks millions should die for that reason, if it were even true. Yeah, I can say it, but he believes that the Russians had a legitimate reason to attack Russia. Wow, yikes. This is what the whole life is about. Why are we suddenly siding with Russia? My last guess is a clear-cut example of somebody doing that, even up to and including suggesting they had a legitimate reason to attack. Takesha, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Tim.
Yes.
Tim. These people will come up with any excuse to make Russia look good. I've never seen so many people that have become Russian sympathizers in all my life.
Why do you think this is? Why is this?
Because they're Trump supporters, and anybody he supports, they support. Anybody he doesn't support, they do not support. You see how they turned on the Republicans and started calling them rhinos when Trump called them rhinos. I mean, some of the best Republicans ever. When you call Mitch McConnell a rhino, you gotta know you ain't never gonna follow Trump, because that's the most Republican you could ever find in your life.
And they do.
These people are they just love Donald Trump so much that they just, everything he say, they just hang on his every wheel.
How do you get that type of love and adoration? What did he do to get that? Because I want to mimic that. I want that. How do you get that?
He kept having rallies.
That's all it takes?
The more you repeat stuff to people, the more you can get them to come over to you, the more you can control their brain. All you got to do is keep repeating, and it gets in their system, and it gets in their brains, and then you got them. That's why he never stopped having rallies.
You almost make it sound like he's hypnotizing folks.
They are hypnotizing. They are. We can all see his nose grow like Pinocchio, and they'll swear his nose like a pig. It's utterly ridiculous. But let me say this here.
Sure.
And this is just what I believe. I think that when Trump said he was going to go on his revenge tour, that the U.S. was on that list for not voting for him in 2020. And I think he's trying to destroy this country for our payback, because you alienate all our allies. You around here cozying up to dictators. You let Elon Musk destroy the government from the inside out. Nothing he is doing is benefiting the United States.
What would be the benefit of destroying the country, though? Why would he want to do that?
You know, a narcissist can't in rejection. He's mad because we chose Joe Biden over him in 2020.
So what is it? A just let it all burn mentality?
He don't care. Why
And
he care?
and
He can go live with the dictators.
yeah, and you're telling me that MAGA sees none of this.
No. They think he's doing a great thing. If you ask him what he's done so far to help the United States, they're going to break up. Well, Elon's finding all this money. Elon's finding all this stuff and saying he's trying to stop waste, yet he's still getting contracts. Every other day he getting a new contract. So how you saving us money? Where's the proof?
Yeah, and that's what that is probably the $64 million question is where is the proof? Because he has found billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse. But when you start saying, well, show me the receipts, he starts coming up short. It's kind of all of the proof is just him telling you that.
And Tim, when they said that he was going to get him some money from the money that he's found that's been wasted, Tim, let me ask you a question. Can you get time back that you wasted?
Not according to Boy George. No, time won't give me time.
Can you get milk back that you wasted?
No.
How does one give you something from something that was wasted? Isn't wasted stuff already gone?
Yeah, you're getting complicated.
I'm asking a question. How you gonna give me some money that's already been wasted?
Well, I guess the way I'm looking at it is if we're collecting federal tax dollars and we got a fraudulent organization out there that's getting monthly payments from our tax dollars, if I cancel that organization out, those monthly payments either can start going to some of you folks or we'll give you a tax cut so we never have to pay it to begin with.
Tim, if you believe that, then you got a head full of hair. Stop it, Tim. Stop it, Tim. They ain't finna get a dime.
I don't know. I think
all Elon is doing, and it's sad that people are losing their jobs for nonsense. These people went to work and then got to work and got a pink slip.
Yeah.
And the whole time he's still getting contracts. Why? Why hasn't he stopped his? You know, he got enough money. If you want to help the United States, why are you still getting contracts?
I think they believe though that Elon's contracts are good for America, and that the ones he's cutting out are bad.
So you can't afford Joe Ziegler baloney, and he's still running around him with all the money he can make, and you think that's a good thing?
I'm just telling you how it works. I'm not saying it's
You can't
right.
even buy a 12-count egg, and this man can't even tell you what eggs count, but that's a good thing. Come on, Tim.
I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. I can't always explain it, but I think that they believe. Okay, look, let me just say it like this, because you mentioned that a lot of times what Trump says is why people are acting the way they're acting. Well, Trump said that Elon Musk is a good guy. So it doesn't matter what he can or can't do or what his contracts are. If Trump is giving him the seal of approval, that's kind of all he needs.
But you know what, Tim, and honestly, that's the sad thing about the whole situation. Because people are not using their own common sense. They're not thinking. They're letting Trump think for them. That's what's sad. Like, they sitting up talking about how Zelensky acted. They started with that man.
Yeah, well.
That was a whole shit show. They planned that mess to make. Because why was a Russian media outlet in that room?
I don't know. Like I said, that's the whole purpose of it.
They put on a show for Vladimir Putin. They went after Zelensky. I want to sign the damn thing.
Yeah.
I want to sign nothing.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't get nothing.
Yeah, that I have no answer for. I do not know why Trump is so friendly to Russia. Now, you heard my last caller suggest that, the Ukrainians provoked Russia by, talking about joining NATO. He believes that Russia had a legitimate reason to attack.
That's just like me whooping my child because he said he was going to skip school on Monday and he ain't even skipped it yet. That's how that sounds to me. You gonna punish somebody for something they said they were going to do that they ain't even did. Yeah. Stop making an excuse for why this war got started. That's the new talking point. They weren't saying that before, Handsome. That's what I'm telling you. Whatever they hear to fit the narrative of how they want to believe, to make it seem like it's right that we align with Russia, they're going to keep spitting it out. We never aligned with Russia. But that man said that our views are aligning, and that's
Yeah.
scary.
Does there ever come a point where you could possibly see maybe MAGA viewing Trump in an unfavorable manner, maybe thinking that he messed up something? Do you think that's ever possible?
God, please, no.
Not at all. No way at all. I mean, what about...
Handsome. Them folks won't even say when he wrong. They make all kind of excuses, go around the miracle bush.
So then he would be a king then.
He's their king. He's their God. He's their golden calf statue. He's their bend over Bobby. You know, they bow down to him. He's their love.
Now, you and I having this conversation, and this might appear drastic to some, because Stevie D in the comments is saying, bro, y'all making it feel like it's the end of the world. Are we maybe overstating it a little bit under Trump?
No, we finna get ready to go into Armageddon. I keep telling you that. We're gonna go into Armageddon.
Now, you're talking biblical.
Listen to me. See, because you ain't paying no attention. I kept telling you stuff was finna start happening, and stuff is starting to happen. I said stuff gonna happen that you never would have thought gonna happen before. We're seeing it right now. If you have to really be a Bible, you have to believe the Bible, you have to read and study it, because everything that's going on is in the Bible.
Well, when you mention the Bible and how it's biblical, I've had a hell of a lot of evangelicals tell me that God put Trump in to steer us right. So, I mean...
Tim, you know what a verse that said, many be called, but few chosen. The ones that told you that, they called themselves. God ain't called them and he ain't chose them.
Ooh.
Because they mad, because they focus would not be on Donald Trump. The Lord called ministers and preachers to preach him, not Donald Trump. They ain't supposed to be in no pulpit talking about no Donald Trump. They supposed to be trying to win souls to Christ. And if you got a preacher that get up in that pulpit and talk about Donald Trump on Sunday, you better try to take the shoes, pull them back on, and run out the door.
I mean, I did have somebody tell me that when I was in line waiting to go into a Trump rally, that Trump was sent here by God. And this guy was...
Why was he at a Trump rally?
I don't know.
If he wasn't there trying to give a word of the Lord, he shouldn't even been there. That is not what God called him to do. They gotta stop. Let me tell you something, Tim. The Pharisees, they just like the Republican Party. They want to bring up all these values, and they following the laws of the Bible and going, along with what Jesus said. And the Pharisees was trying to kill Jesus. So don't just because people say they for stuff that's in the Bible, it doesn't mean that their heart is with God. God already said that my name are on their lips, but their hearts are far from me.
But the liberals,
but trust people just because of the position they in.
Well, but the liberals are promoting all this LGBT stuff and can't tell what a woman is. They're okay with a woman terminating their baby in the 9th month, but yet you're going to say the right is not closer to God?
Ain't none of them closer to God, Tim. Stop it.
I'm just...
But one thing the liberals don't do is they don't fake play. See, the Lord, let me tell you, the Bible said that he'd rather you to be hot or cold. But if you lukewarm, he gonna spit you out his mouth because you give him a nasty taste. He just wants you to be real.
I never thought God would eat me. Why is
He wants you to be real. They not real, Tim. Just because you put the 10 Commandments in the school and you ain't following down one of them, that ain't moving the Lord. He ain't looked that way yet. They gotta stop being so fake. Like Mike Johnson told me something. He feel like the Lord chose him as to David. David who? Copperfield? Because you ain't doing it but playing magic tricks. Because you sure ain't the David in the Bible. They gotta stop playing, Tim. They gotta stop playing, man.
All right, Takesha, listen, you got me on the biblical sense of things. I grew up in the church, but it's been a while ago. That was a long time ago. I do have reservations about religion. I've made it clear in the program many times, but...
I understand, but I'm here for you. I can give you all you need to know, brother.
I like when a woman says that. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming through.
Did you see my picture I put up?
No, I did not.
Oh, man, I was so fine I couldn't stand myself.
Oh, shit. Bless your heart. All right, I gotta go.
Go look at my page, baby. It'll make you rub yourself tonight, I'm telling you.
I'm black as hell and I'm blushing. I gotta go. Oh my God. Kind of reminds me of the old song by Divinyls. What is it? I don't want nobody else. When I think about you, I touch myself. Looking in the comments, tap the screen. We should have been around about 80,000 by now. You guys can make that happen. Give me a good solid minute of tapping the screen. Help out the algorithm. Brings in, you know what I say, brings in more MAGA. We go left to Bernie Sanders, Trump having dinner with Q. By the way, folks, if you favor this type of open dialogue, all sides of the aisle, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. You enjoy this type of conversation, get your boy a subscription on YouTube horizontal, YouTube vertical. We're also on Instagram Live and TikTok. Feel free to follow on any of those. If you wonder where the calls come from, if you ever wanted to come, wanted to call into the program, want to tear to host a new one or make a comment on a prior guest, come on TikTok or Instagram Live. You're both the handsome liberal as well, and we'll bring you right up. State your case. Give you plenty of time to do so. So looking in the comments real quick, I'm going to make sure I didn't miss a super chat there. Will G says Trump ain't shit. Says Musk smells like shit. God damn. Says there's a theory that Trump made a deal with the tech bros to make Trump as rich as the Elon and Bezos. Every day it's more and more true. So it's just a huge grift. Huge grift. Man, where do I start on something like that? Now, I'm going to leave it. Trump smells like shit and Elon smells like shit alone, but it does appear, like I said, it's hard to deny that it doesn't look like Elon paid his way to be where he's at. And I know my MAGA side of the aisle trust Elon under the guise that he has all the money in the world, so you don't have to worry about him. Arshafine, appreciate the sub. Thank you. Appreciate that. So the belief is that because Elon is an incredibly successful business person and he has all the money in the world, you don't have to worry about him trying to, be on the take, so to speak. But when you look at what he's actually doing, it does not measure up to that. I mean, he is making a ton of money and he's not known for being very charitable. So he is keeping the money. I mean, whether you believe he wants to make money or not, he is keeping it. He's getting all these contracts, as one of my guests pointed out, with whether it's extensions of Starlink. I mean, for the most part, he's becoming NASA. His organization is slowly but surely getting all of the work outsourced from NASA. He's making a killing. So when you say that he made a deal with the tech bros to make Trump as rich as Elon, there is a possibility. There's no way in hell I could just say that's not true. There's no way in hell I could just say that's not true based on what's going on. I cannot imagine that Elon would buy his way in, start making a killing like that, and Trump is just idly sitting by and his finances are stagnant compared to Elon. Trump is a very competitive guy. Very competitive. If Elon's making a killing, Trump probably is too somewhere, some way, somehow. Just my opinion on that. There's no way to know yet. Will G says to rule over the ashes and nothingness. Trump is making libertarians have a hard on. Damn. To rule over ashes and nothingness. Sound like Mad Max in the making almost. Continuing on with the program, and by the way, thank you folks that are tapping the screen. 80,000 is certainly possible. Hubert Cumberdale says, sell a t-shirt. I never thought God would eat me. I can't put that on a t-shirt. Now, she did say, so my last guest did say something about God would spit you out of their mouth or something like that. I'm like, damn, did God go down on somebody? That's what it sounds like. So I'm like, I didn't know God would eat me. But I don't think that would be good on a t-shirt. I don't think that would be a bit disrespectful. I'm not in the church anymore, but I still don't want to deliberately send myself to hell, if you know what I mean. Thank you folks that are tapping the screen. Get the likes up to 80,000. Moving on with the program. I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. And thank you, Bandito. Was a fan of Takesha. Said 100% right. Elon wants to be the first trillionaire, says old boy. I don't think there's anything in the way that's going to stop that. just when you think about how much his money is snowballing, the fact that he's getting government contracts and stuff like that, in the next 4 years, I don't think there's anything going to get in the way and stop that. I mean, at this point, he's already a third of the way there, so he just needs to triple his wealth over 4 years when he's in charge of Doge. I think he'll be above that by the end of 2028 or coming, November 2028. I think he'll be above it. I think he'll be worth more than $1 trillion. There's nothing in the way to stop that. Because just the Tesla contracts alone, it wouldn't surprise me if Trump starts promoting Tesla contracts to some of our foreign, not our adversaries, but allies. Start promoting those vehicles. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. You do this, and you take on this huge contract, and maybe we'll reduce the tariffs like that. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So yeah, Elon, I do believe he probably will end up reaching the trillionaire status before it's over with. As long as he's turning a product that people want, who cares how much he has? Well, because he may be getting contracts that are not necessarily based on his product being what people want, but by limiting access to other products that people may want. Business ain't fair. Business is not always about fairness. So I get what you're saying, but I don't totally agree with that. I do believe that they're going to be promoting Elon's products, and products from other people won't get the same type of, won't be on the same playing field. That's why I brought that up. I think that says Shiv McNasty. Good evening. Welcome to the program. He's at 400 billion, give or take daily. When he hits 600 billion, I'll start panicking. The way, as fast as he's making money? Shiv, good evening.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What brings you on this evening? What am I getting wrong?
Oh, you're not doing anything wrong. You're fine. It's good having you in here, letting everybody talk. You do get a lot of dumb people coming on here and talking, though.
Give me an example. Give me an example of something you may have heard dumb this evening.
Oh boy, geez, where do I start? Well, there's one thing you say. You say that half the country voted for Donald Trump. Now that's not true. Only about 66% of the country votes at all. So really, about a third of the country voted for Trump.
Okay. How out of the 66% that voted, how many of them voted for Trump? What percentage?
Half of them.
All right,
yes,
then.
but that still leaves two-thirds of the country.
All right, I get your point. So I'll just edit it and say that half of the voting public voted for Trump.
Yes.
Okay.
But that still means that most of us didn't want that.
In my opinion, if you didn't vote, you ain't got nothing to speak up about. I mean, you didn't vote, so don't complain.
Oh, I voted.
Yeah, I get you. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying anybody that didn't vote, you ain't got shit to say about this.
Okay, now back to why everybody loves Trump. It's cool, man. Everybody loved David Koresh. Everybody loved the Jonestown guys. They drank the Kool-Aid to die for that guy.
Do you believe when you're mentioning folks like Koresh and Jones? Do you believe that MAGA would put their life on the line for Trump? Would die for him?
I mean, they already did. The January 6th dudes. They raided the Capitol. They knew there were cops there. Cops have guns. They were risking their lives. You see, they knew the same thing that the people now don't seem to remember. They outnumbered those cops. We outnumber everybody in Trump's little circle. Everybody's like, oh, we can't fight back. No, we can fight back. There's more of us. We're just trying not to. We just want things to work the way they're supposed to work. But if you push people hard enough, they will fight back.
But you do believe that if Trump ordered his folks to get into some type of military conflict at militia style, they would be willing to put their lives on the line for him.
Not all of them, but I'd say a solid 33%.
That's a lot. That's a lot of them. That's millions of people.
You know, the ones that are really like the guys that buy everything he sells, the guys that wear everything he has, the guys that will believe everything he says, no matter how wrong it is or how many lies he said that contradicted it like 2 days before. They will believe anything. They will come up with any excuse. That is God to them. They don't care about anything else. He is the savior. He will do what's right. He's their David Koresh.
How do you get that kind of power? I asked somebody else this earlier. How do you get that kind of power over somebody?
Well, go look at how David Koresh and the rest of them did it. You know, you sit there and you tell people what they want to hear. He went to every rally he went to. All he did was tell them, oh, yeah, I'll do this. I'll lower the price of eggs for you, and I'll get you your no tax on tips. And for you guys down here, I'll make sure to get rid of all the Mexicans that are stealing your jobs. Oh, and what did you want over there? Yeah, I'll make sure that you don't get any more wildfires. He just told them what they wanted to hear.
I mean, I told.
He's not going to do any of
Yeah,
it.
but I told my ex-wife every damn thing she wanted to hear. I got a little nanny, but she still divorced my ass. I don't get it. I mean,
Did you do it for 4 years straight? And then while you were doing it, did you have a group of friends that called her up all day and said, hey, you know what? He's right. Because that's Fox News.
okay.
Just like, no, Trump's the best. Trump is God. Trump is great. We love Trump.
All right, so next time, get my boys in on it. Is that what you said?
But you gotta get like all your boys. Like it's gotta be, you gotta all be like, okay, we're gonna do this. She's gonna be here at 8 o'clock. You need to come by and mention something. Then she's gonna stop by her car. You just walk by and say, oh yeah, I heard your brother. You just get like 50 people to do it every fucking day. Yeah.
Wow.
You'll gaslight her into believing whatever you want.
That's funny, but I guess to some degree, I understand what you're talking about. But here's the thing. I talk to MAGA every day. MAGA would say you're crazy. MAGA don't believe that they're being brainwashed.
Yeah, because they're conned by a con man. Have you ever known anybody who was conned by a con man? And you could tell them all day, that this dude is just trying to rob you. And they'll be like, nah, man, he's cool. And then one day they come back and go, yo, that dude robbed me. It happens. It happens in real life. This isn't just happening on a grand scale.
So where the hell does this end up at? I mean, we got almost 4 years more of this. Where does this end up?
Well, there's a chance that in 2 years there is a massive shift to the Democratic side because everybody's going to be tired.
The midterms.
And there will be a blue wave. But and then they'll impeach him and probably toss Musk out. There's a bunch of lawsuits going on with Musk right now. The American army is
Can they wait?
to protect
If
all enemies.
can they actually?
And if he becomes a domestic enemy, what do you think's going to happen?
How do you said they would impeach Trump and toss Musk out? Can you get, because if you impeach Trump, then you would get J.D. Vance, right? Can the Democrats actually get rid of Elon?
We can impeach him too.
Is he
He's
in
an
the?
accessory. He's not trying to do anything to stop Trump. He is the vice president. If Trump is breaking laws, J.D. Vance can take steps to stop him. He is encouraging him. So if we throw out Trump, we can throw Vance out too. Because he's breaking laws too. You can't just do whatever you want. We live in a society.
But then he goes to what, the speaker? Who else falls in line? We gonna chop off the whole damn government?
Well, once you get the people that have a cult following out, the regular Republicans will be fine. I don't have a problem with regular Republicans. I have a problem with cultists.
Now, see the comments. Old boy says, I have no faith in America voting heavily blue in the midterm. So even under what we're dealing with, he's saying it. I mean, do you feel confident that, let's say, for instance, the midterms are going to be held next month. You think the Democrats would win?
Yeah.
You do? I don't see that.
Yeah, I think anybody who wasn't a Republican or a current Republican congressman that is up for election would win. Have you seen these town halls?
Yeah, I've seen
You
them.
think any of those people are going to vote for those politicians?
I don't.
They are treating them like children,
Yeah.
booing them, and then the congressmen are talking back like they're leading a raucous school class. Nobody likes to be talked to like that.
I've seen some of them, and I do agree with you to some degree, but I brought up earlier the $5,000 stimulus card in the hole, that I do believe that if they gave the American public a little small stipend, they could actually buy some votes. I really believe they could do that, because most MAGA do not work for the federal government.
Do that?
You know, I don't know.
You think a bunch of people who spend their entire life hoarding money like a dragon would give money away? Not if they're not going to get something for it. They're certainly not going to have the money in the budget to do that.
Well, Elon Musk just gave away $300 million to Trump. Yeah, they would do it for an investment.
Yeah, because he gets to run the country now. I'll give you $300 million if I get to run America.
Right. So if you give the American public a small stimulus check, you get to run the country for a little bit longer.
No, he's already there.
Yeah, but if you lose
he doesn't care. He can do whatever he wants.
Not if you lose the midterms.
Yeah, but they think they're untouchable, Tim. They think that nobody can stop them. Because so far, nobody has. Even when they committed crimes and did whatever they wanted, they just got away with it. You can only get away with things for so long. There's a lot of guns in this country.
What are you... Whoa. What the hell are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm saying we are a well-armed country, and eventually, people don't like to be fucked with anymore. There's a limit.
I don't know. You know something? I believe that if for some reason folks took up arms because of Trump's policies, it would not hurt Trump or Elon. It would end up being local cops and local politicians, but for the most part, Trump would still be able to do it. He's so shielded and isolated, he would just grow his own army and continue doing it from...
Try.
Yeah.
But you see, he is just one man. Even if he has 33% of the population, they are only 33% of the population. There are more.
Yeah, but they got the... Yeah, but you don't have the type of weapons and assets that they have. So, yeah, you can show up armed, but your little AR or your pistol, they're just going to mow you down. I mean, he has assets...
We don't have to show up armed. We just have to wait until they can't hold up anymore. We could take shifts. We just have to wait them out. They will sleep, and then once they're too tired to think straight, the masses will take over. That's just how it happens. It always happens. You can't be a dictator because people will rise up.
I don't know.
Yeah, you have the army, but the army is sworn to protect America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And some of the people in the army are going to consider him a domestic threat.
I can see that. I don't know, though. I don't know.
Some of the people in the Navy. So either it's going to be a massive civil war, or what'll be easier for the country is for the people in charge to go, you know what? Maybe you should go.
That is, yeah, and I see the comments, Debo says you're talking about the Civil War. That's exactly what you're talking about. Because there's going to be some folks that are going to stand up and fight on behalf of Trump, no matter what the condition of the country is. I mean, people are going to be fighting on his behalf, absolutely. And that's going to be millions of people.
Yeah, it's going to be a disgusting mess, which is why anybody who has any power, if you pressure them enough, they're going to try and keep that from happening. It's happening now. It's only been a month. How have you ever seen this many town halls with this many people this upset a month after somebody became president?
Yeah, but the thing about it is, it's almost easier to piss off your constituents and let them just vote you out than to piss off Trump and have him send a bunch of MAGA to your house.
Yeah, no, that's true. But, again, if there's any kind of election, the majority is razor thin. I think it's like 10 people in the House of Congress and 2 senators. That's not a lot of votes they need to flip in order to be able to impeach him. They only need to win 5 elections. I guarantee they'll win at least 10. I'm
gonna tell you something. If the Democrats get in there and they impeach Trump, there's your civil unrest, in my opinion. If they get in there and they impeach Trump, I think that's enough to set off a lot of MAGA right there by itself for a third time.
It probably will. But here's the thing, though. There's not that many of them. If a bunch of people, crazy MAGA people, rose up, the local police would handle that because they're scattered. It's not like they all live.
You sure the police ain't fucking MAGA themselves?
Some are, but there's a lot of bad police in the world, but most police are decent people. The reason you see a bunch of bad police on YouTube is because it's bad police on YouTube. It gets viewed. I'm going to leave that one alone, but I'm just simply saying I think there's a whole lot more police
that would probably be, hanging, because Trump, a lot of people believe the Republicans are more pro-police than the Democrats. The old defund the police, they ignore January 6th for some strange reason. I don't know why, but they do believe the Republicans are far more pro-police than the Democrats are.
Yeah, but the police are still there to do a job, right? They can't.
They were there to do a job on January 6th.
They're trained.
They were there to do a job on January 6th.
There wasn't that many of them. It's not like the entire precinct was out there in force in riot gear. It was just the people who were assigned there that day for that event. They weren't expecting that. That wasn't planned. It wasn't a planned attack. It just happened. Yeah. It was organic. So they had to let people through.
You and I
died.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to move it on, but you and I disagree about they wasn't expecting that, it wasn't planned. Okay, if January 6th wasn't expected, it wasn't planned, it was definitely predictable. The minute he said, let's go to the Capitol building, and this huge crowd of angry people that were just talking about hanging the vice president a mile away is coming your way, it's pretty predictable that they're not just coming here to stand on the porch and yell. They were just calling for the death of the right down the street. Now they're marching. A lot of them, there's video of them marching, saying hateful things and how they're going to storm the building when they get there. So the idea that the Capitol Police expected nothing to happen sounds crazy.
Well, no, they expected something to happen. They just didn't expect it to get that out of hand. It wasn't like there had been tensions brewing like during the Martin Luther King march where they had all the cops around because they felt something had been getting ready to happen for months. This just kind of happened organically in the course of like a day or two. Yeah. The cops were not paying attention to the possibility. So they were caught unprepared.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, if they're willing to come here and shout out that they want to take the vice president's life, you gotta, because that in itself is kind of a crime just to even do that in public. Especially when you got a gallows with you. So you really, and now they're headed to the building where the vice president is at. To me, it just sounds like you should be able to predict that this is not going to go well when they get here.
Well, they weren't. Like I said, it happened fast. He told a speech, then they went down there. Even if somebody had gotten the inkling, like, hey, this is turning bad, it still takes time to get people who aren't in the area to the area, get them prepared, get people back that are off shift. Yeah. They just weren't ready for it. They weren't standing by.
Well, I suppose that's what we start to blame Nancy Pelosi or something.
I don't know who it was. It was probably the chief of police was just not paying attention because this happens every 4 years and it's never been a problem before. Mm. And the guy leading the cops has probably been there for like 20 years. He's seen this 5 or 6 times. Yeah. It's just a regular thing that happens.
No, you have never had a... you ain't had this. You've never had a president oppose the winning candidate and have a rally 2 blocks away or 2 miles away. That has never happened before.
Right. That's why they weren't ready for it.
All right. I got to move it on, Shiv.
Anyway, talk to you later, Tim.
Always a pleasure. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on with the program. Thank you, by the way. Moving on with the program. I don't know what I just hit here. What are we trying to ignore? Super chat says, a guy with eat meat t-shirt. That's funny. Somebody in here. Will G says, I will slightly disagree with Takesha. Says, although I think the Bible is written for and by and to the Israelites, having a Biden moment, Israelites, for God's glory, God did talk to adversaries just to teach Israel a lesson. That's above my biblical knowledge, so I'll leave it there. But you said I will slightly disagree with Takesha, although I think the Bible is written for, by, and to the Israelites, for God's glory, God did talk to adversaries just to teach Israel a lesson. Like I said, that one is above my biblical knowledge, so I'll leave it at that. By the way, while I'm talking to you folks, I got the big screen on in the background. I'm looking at News Nation right now. They got a ticker on Cuomo. Chris Cuomo is talking, but they have I can't hear it because I got the audio turned down, but the news ticker below says Trump is saying Zelensky won't be around very long if he opposes the deal. What does that mean? If Vladimir Zelensky of the Ukraine continues to oppose this deal that Trump is offering, he won't be around very long. What do you think Trump is indicating? Somebody's going to take him out. Somebody let me know what would Trump be? Why would he even say something like that? I agree with you, Chris. What the hell does that mean? Won't be around very long. There's only two ways to look at it. Either he won't be in power very long, or he won't be alive very long. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. Zelensky won't be around very long. That's what Trump stated. If Trump is saying that if Zelensky does not take the deal, he won't be around very long. And I seen the comment, Snowfall, great series, by the way. I don't know if you remember Snowfall. What channel was that on? FX. But anyway, you're saying that he probably is planning something. You know, I thought the same thing when Zelensky came to the United States, when he left on bad relations with Trump. Like, Trump is incredibly vengeful, up to and including death. If something happened to you, like man, you need to get out of the United States real quick. When they told him to leave the White House, if I'm rolling with Zelensky, I'm his advisor, I'm his press secretary or something like that. The minute the Secret Service came and told us the president is asking you guys to leave, I'm like, dude, let's get the fuck up out of here. Let's get to the airport quick and get up in the air. We don't know what may go wrong in this country. I mean, there was an event that happened on the 6th of January back in 2021 where he put his own people at risk. Let's get out of here quick. That's what I would have said if once he told us to leave the White House. Like, we need to leave this country immediately. So I don't know, but he was kicked out of the White House. So you say he's probably planning something. Could be. I don't feel confident at this point that Trump may not give Russia intelligence. I want to be wrong on this. We were giving Zelensky a ton of intelligence on, things in regards to how to work, how to defeat Russia or how to bomb places and things like that. I don't feel confident that Trump wouldn't do that on behalf of the Russians. That he may tell the Russians different strategic points in the Ukraine. I don't feel confident about that. And I'm assuming Zelensky probably does not either. Looking in the comments, God talked to Pharaoh, king of Assyria and Babylon, all while Israel was in captivity as a setup. I was not aware of any of this. All those kings got set up and eventually got killed in action. The same thing could happen to Trump. Let me read that again because I heard Trump at the end of it. Now I'm interested. God talked to Pharaoh, kings of Assyria and Babylon, all while Israel was in captivity as a setup. All the kings got set up and eventually killed in action. The same thing could happen to Trump. You got me wanting to look that story up. I'm not, like I said, I'm not aware. The biblical stuff, you're killing me. I'm not aware of it, but I want to know more about it. Almost sounds like a Caesar, a Caesar thing, but on a larger scale somewhat. That goes for Zelensky and or Trump. Yeah, like I said, I believe that it's very possible that now that Trump is not, I just read while I was holding this show that under Trump, America is no longer sending anything to the Ukraine. I heard he officially stopped sending any assistance to the Ukraine tonight. Is that correct? Did anybody see that headline? I know he's been talking about doing it, but I heard somebody stated that he is now officially cut off all support to the Ukraine. Has anybody saw any confirmation of that? Creed says fast. So yeah, everybody's saying yes at this point. So we are no longer an ally to Ukraine, period. If we're not helping them out at all, we no longer have any alliance to the Ukraine at this point. So at best, he wants to act as a moderator. To me, I don't think there's any way to deny that we are more favorable to Russia in this conflict than we are to Ukraine. I really think that anybody who tries to say otherwise is just trying to protect the image of Trump. How much more before we see he's an agent? I think you've seen enough, Mr. G1804. Isn't that the song Ice Cube has? You got the evidence? Russian intelligence? I think once he cut off aid to the Ukrainians, what more is left other than start now supplying the Russians with either intelligence or weapons? I don't see what more is left. Revelations 2:9. I don't see the verse there, but it says, "I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Ooh, you got me feeling like Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction when I'm reading that. I don't know. That I'm not getting. I know that works in tribulation and poverty. Okay. But thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them, which say they are Jews and are not, but are not the synagogue of Satan. That's a mouthful. I'd have to read it. I don't understand that. Trump is on both instances. He is very petty. I think everybody would admit Trump is petty. He's vengeful. He's vengeful. If you get on his wrong side, he's going to try his best to hurt you. America is Babylon. That's what you're saying there, Debo? Man, you guys getting complicated. Let me go back to the box. I had Miss Smoke, but she dropped. We'll go to Mike. Good evening, Mike. Welcome to the program. You're usually fair since that today. Thank you, Harvey. I try to be, but today I'm getting a lot thrown at me. Mike, good evening.
Hey, what's up, Tim?
Hey, and I see in the comment, Sherbert said we just joined the Axis powers. What are we doing? What is America doing favoring Trump over Zelensky?
It's you and I had this conversation. Dan Cal, Takesha, everybody that's come up that's been added, they're 100% right. The minerals is what. Think about this, Tim. We never heard anything about minerals and none of that shit on the campaign.
Under Biden at all. We didn't hear nothing about that from Biden or any of them.
Or Trump. Nobody was talking about this. This was Elon. When Elon put his ass in the mix, he knew what he wanted from the beginning.
So Trump is doing Elon's bidding.
Well, see, this is the thing. I think it's twofold. There's a lot of bidding going on here. What I mean by that is you've got the Heritage Foundation. They have wants and needs, right? Trump has different wants and needs. Elon has different wants and needs. That's why they're working the way they're working. Think about this. I just put in the comments. The U.S. lifted the sanctions on Russia. You didn't read that today?
No.
Yeah. So by lifting the sanctions on Russia, what does that do?
Pretty much freeze. Well, the rest of Europe is not going to do that, though. I mean, it gives them a ton of their money we've been holding.
There you go. It gives them more of their money. Stop sending arms over to Ukraine, free up some of their money so they can have a little bit more money to do what they need to do. And here's the thing. Why do I come to that conclusion? If things were so great, they would have never used North Korean soldiers.
Yeah.
It's not good over there right now for him.
Yeah. And you know something, Zelensky said that when J.D. Vance was talking about how much, and Trump was talking about how much that the Ukrainians are having to call up soldiers and how much problem. He's like, they lost like 700,000, I think he said. He was like, Russia's lost a lot of people too. It's like it is not as bad as you making it sound.
Right. Well, that's why Trump was so pissed at Biden when he did what he did before he left office, because he's prolonging this conflict.
So
I don't believe Russia has the resources to continue to extend this thing. So it's coming to a quick halt right in our face right now. What he did to Zelensky the other day, now stopping their aid, and now removing the sanctions on Russia. What does that sound like? I mean, what does it sound like?
Wait. Well, we know he's giving Russians millions of dollars back because there was their money, their oligarchs' money we had frozen, but
right.
and he's not giving the Ukraine anything. So it sounds like he's just he's basically seceding the Ukraine to Russia.
100%. And Elon's like, what? Good. Why are you doing all that? I'll take some of the minerals, and y'all can have the other half.
That's exactly what I mentioned earlier. I saw you in the comments when I talked about the mob dividing the 5 boroughs. It sounds like they're just dividing up the planet among themselves.
Hey, yes, and for Elon, he don't care about none of that. He's looking for resources, because if he can use those sources for his business, think about it. you have to continue to evolve those batteries.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about using them for military tanks and stuff, need better batteries, need bigger batteries. You're always going to need, and that minerals is what he needs. Does it make perfect sense?
It definitely does not sound stupid, I'll tell you that much. I don't want it to make sense. I'm trying to spin it any way I can. I don't want this to make sense because it's sinister and we're in on it. So I'm trying not to make it make sense, but other than just blindly pretending like I don't hear what you're saying, it makes perfect sense. I'm trying not to make it make sense though.
I know, because, man, I told you this a long time ago when you used to be like, holy shit. I hope you used to have a whole lot more giggle and laugh when you be hoping I was wrong about this shit. And now I see you going, man, I hope y'all not right.
Yeah, I mean, I really do, but like I said, there's no positive way to look at it. I mean, they are. I mean, Trump is giving the Ukraine literally the shaft, and he's helping out the Russians at the same time. I've had a couple of callers on here way back in the show, a few of my MAGA callers, and I asked, why are we siding with Russia? And they're still denying it. I mean, like, everything shows we favor Russia and we don't like the Ukrainians. I mean, I don't think that it's undeniable.
It is. And it also verifies that they've been talking a lot more than he said they were. Talking about Putin and Trump is scamming Putin.
I was going to say that the minute when you first came on, you were talking about how he got upset about what Biden did and extended the war. First thing I was thinking when you said that is because he had already made some kind of deal and promise to Putin, and he wasn't expecting Biden to do something that put a monkey in the wrench. I mean, a monkey in the works. I think he probably, because they asked him, had he talked to Putin, and he didn't even want to acknowledge that.
Right. So, but check this out. I'm going to trip you out with this too. Yeah, Putin was expecting this conflict to end so he could stop using resources. That's where the whole term on day one came from. Get this over with as soon as possible, even before I get into office. You remember all of that?
Yeah. So how does it work now that the UK is promising to put boots on the ground and all that and step up? Many of the countries in Europe are promising to step up and fill in the blank for where the U.S. is leaving.
Yeah, and it makes us look terrible. It makes it. But we've been saying this for this whole movement. It's so bad that I think other countries have sympathy for for a subset of American people.
Yeah. Because there's no secret because we are all over social media. Our news channels can be seen in other countries. There's no secret that a lot of Americans do not like Trump's stance of favoring Russia over the Ukraine. I mean, they know that around the world that a lot of Trump's constituents don't like what he's doing. Just like we know a lot of people in Israel don't like what Netanyahu is doing.
Right. But yes, but this time it's just America. The quote unquote strongest and greatest country on earth is happening to us at the highest level. We're supposed to be, the world leaders, and it's happening to the world leaders. That's a terrible look, Tim. You can't even explain it away. But think about this. I want people to realize this. I don't know if we talked about it before. Now listen to the slogan that the Trump administration and his supporters say in the Senate and Congress. They say, we are executing on America has mandated this. That's their mantra now. Are you?
No. America didn't ask for this. America did not vote to.
But that's what they're saying. I don't know if you've heard that. If you listen, that's they're saying. They're saying, the Trump administration is moving forward on America's mandate. This is what the people voted for. That's what they're saying. I know a lot of people are missing that.
Well, some of it, I agree with MAGA a little bit. Some of it, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I didn't expect Trump to go this far and literally jump in bed with Putin, but he made it clear that he didn't like the Ukrainians and was somewhat favorable. It's just, once you see it forming in front of your face, you don't realize how bad it is. Everybody was saying, arrest the president. Even Ice Cube is saying, people knew that it was more likely than not to happen, but when it actually happens, it's like, damn. You didn't think we would actually... Go ahead.
Well, the whole time, people like myself, people that talk about it, nobody wants to be here. I mean, who the hell would choose to be in this position as
MAGA.
as a people?
MAGA.
Right?
MAGA would choose.
Well, again, they would choose based on what they thought they knew. Right?
Yep.
Because a lot of people, like I said, Tim, if Project 2025 was their ticket, that was their agenda that they actually ran on publicly.
Right.
There were people that voted for him that would not have voted for him.
Yeah. But there's still people probably out there that do not believe that Project 2025 is a real thing. They still don't believe that.
Yeah, well, those people, those and the MAGA reacts, there ain't no hope for that weird ass shit. I mean, and I mean that because Shiv said, no, Shiv was right. Shiv was spot on. You can't get somebody out of. You can't get somebody out. Where they gonna go?
What do you mean?
Where do the dark magas and the magas, where do they go? Because like MAGA reacts, he pivots all the time. He has nowhere else to go. If he admits he made a mistake or he was wrong, where do you go from there?
I admit I'm wrong on the program all the damn time. If you got me, you got me. Damn it, I ain't gonna pretend like I'm right. That's why I say I've never wanted to come across as a know-it-all. I don't have all the answers, which is why I have a free speech program. Anybody that's afraid to admit they're wrong or deliberately refuse to do so, to me that just sounds like you deliberately keeping yourself stupid.
Or in a cult.
I guess that's the same difference if you really look at it.
It's damn near the same difference. I'm gonna say this before I go. Earlier, you were talking, and I don't know if it was MAGA or somebody was talking about Zelensky and his disposition and how he handled that situation and asking like he doesn't want peace. The whole notion that this man doesn't want to get completely ran over equates to peace is absurd.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the deal they're offering him doesn't buy him anything. It buys compliance of him giving them 50 and ignorance when they take the rest of the 50. Yeah. That's what that deal was.
Yeah, we're gonna take the rare earth minerals from the Ukraine, but we're gonna free up the money to give back to Russia. I mean,
and I'm supposed to trust you?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to trust the people that are supposed to be protecting this to hold true on this deal, and you're in bed with that guy, and you didn't want me at the table talking about me? Like, who would sign up for that, Tim?
Yeah. I don't know why people think that Zelensky is disrespectful to the United States. In my opinion, he could see the writing on the wall. Like, this guy is not my friend. This isn't Joe Biden and Kamala Harris or Obama or anybody. This guy does not like us. I mean, I brought that up with MAGA Reacts, who was trying to. I'm like, all of the stuff he done said about this man on social media over the last year or two. You know, this is not a friend. This guy's not acting on your best behalf, and now we're seeing that he don't officially cut off all weapons, and he don't remove the sanctions from Russia. He's pretty much don't left you no other way to go other than he likes Russia and he doesn't like the Ukraine.
Well, and you know what? That was spot on, Timmy. And it's funny because the same people that say that Zelensky was being disrespectful or that can't understand why he doesn't feel that way, those are the same people that were offended when Biden said that they were garbage. He made one statement and they damn near lost their shit. And Trump is showing this man to his face how little he cares about him time and time again, and they make excuses for it. I mean, it's insane to me because Zelensky knows where he is right now.
Yeah.
He's on an island. That's why do you think Europe is responding so quickly? They saw what we saw.
Yeah.
Right?
It's undeniable. It's undeniable.
It's undeniable. And if you try to skirt around that, then you just are in that cult. You are that person that can't recover from it because no matter what he does or says, you have a ration. You can rationalize it in your own brain. Think about that.
I want to have pushback.
When Timmy Tim was on here with you, you were shaking and blinking. I ain't never seen you blink so damn much.
Oh, listen, anytime I'm in a deep conversation, blinking is just, I don't know, I got a bunch of bright ass lights on me, and then I got 4 screens I'm looking at. I'm trying to read the text. I'm working the laptop. I'm trying to listen to you. I got News Nation or CNN on the back. I got a lot of shit going on. Damn it, let me blink, goddamn.
Right. Well, no, he was talking about these things, but he's also the person that believes that Nancy Pelosi's a clone.
Oh my God. Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? Now, there are people in here that probably don't know that.
Yeah.
But that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I wouldn't say that. That's true. So how do you get to a center of what we're seeing right now with people that think that way? That's not even logical. But what we're watching is like out of a movie. It's like a movie script.
Cool. Yeah, it's
like a movie script.
This is a movie that if you saw this movie before it became reality, people would say this is a dumbass 1-star movie. America would never get like that. You wouldn't, but it's so bad that you wouldn't believe the script, but you're now living it. You would never believe this.
And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna go. Have you seen on Netflix? Have you seen Zero Day?
Everybody tells me that. No, I have not. With Robert De Niro.
Bruh, with Robert De Niro and
Angela Bassett plays the
Angela Bassett.
Appreciate that. Big board. Yeah. I'm gonna have to check that out. I don't have so many people tell me I need to watch that.
When you watch it, you're gonna be able to put a name to current players in our government. Listen.
That close.
Anybody's seen it. I'm telling you, Alan is watched. He said he binge watched it. Am I telling the truth? The top 10 actors in their roles in that flick point to somebody in our government right now.
You got me sold on it. But
I couldn't believe it. I said, and it was written in 2022. It was written in it was written in 2022, and Robert De Niro playing the role, and you know how it's called Zero Day.
Yeah.
You know how staunch of a Trump detractor he is.
Yes.
To have the movie, that 6-part series unfold like that is crazy.
I have to check it out.
All right, my brother. Hey, listen, check it out. You're gonna have a live about it.
Damn.
Crazy.
You got me sold. Mike, thanks for coming through.
Okay, now.
All right, appreciate it. He's probably the 10th person that has told me to watch that. I've had so many people say I need to see that. Real quick before we continue on the program, Zero Day. Yeah, I've heard of it. It's apparently some virus. What is it? A cyber virus or something? I kind of know the plot of it, but no, I have not seen it. But real quick before we continue with the next call, I am going to ask you guys to tap the screen. We might get up to 100,000 in the likes department if you give me a good solid minute of tapping on the screen. Tap the screen, get the likes on up. Real quick, don't forget the coming weeks what you're saying about Europe. Speaking of Europe, this is a clip I played earlier, and what me and my last caller was talking about, that Europe is now stepping in to fill the void since the United States has essentially dumped the Ukraine. We're basically no longer allies with the Ukraine. Trump has literally completely erased our alliance with the Ukraine.
The first priority of this government, of any government, first, we will keep the military aid flowing and keep increasing the economic pressure on Russia to strengthen Ukraine now. Second, we agreed that any lasting peace must ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and security, and Ukraine must be at the table. Third, in the event of a peace deal, we will keep boosting Ukraine's own defensive capabilities to deter any future invasion. Fourth, we will go further to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee the peace. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting.
Now, what he just said is actually just like eons for lack of a better term, eons better than what Trump was offering Zelensky that he was complaining that Zelensky would not sign. Trump wasn't offering nowhere near all of that shit. No, and this guy ain't talking about rare earth minerals either. I mean, he's offering way more assistance. Now, obviously, the UK is not the US in terms of military might, but the UK is not going to offer to do this alone. Some of the other countries in Europe are also openly saying, I think Australia's made it clear they stand by the Ukraine. A lot of our other allies, Canada, all of them, I think just about every ally in the Western world is in favor of the Ukraine. So can they help the Ukraine maintain its sovereignty like the United States was? I think they probably could. Certainly when he's talking about being willing to put planes in the air and boots on the ground, that's something that Americans were not even doing. We weren't giving them aircraft till the very end. I think we gave them a few single-engine F-16s. I think towards the end we did that. But like F-22s and F-35s, they weren't going to get their hands on that at all. Not even F-18s, I don't believe. So if he is willing to do that, and he can get a few other countries to do that, it kind of keeps the party going with the Ukrainians continuing to weaken Russia. The problem I have, though, what I'm most concerned about now is that not only are we no longer assisting Ukraine, under the Trump administration, we may actually start helping Russia. We might actually start supplying the Russians with arms or maybe put some soldiers on the border we may actually start supporting Russia. At this point, I don't feel confident saying that won't happen anymore. I just don't. We're showing way too much favoritism to Russia. Man, this is a different world. We're in uncharted territory. But all of our allies are now on the other side of the game, and our adversaries are now becoming our allies. As somebody in the comments said, I think it was Sherbert said, we have just joined the Axis powers. Yeah, we have become the Axis in the Allied versus Axis. Will, you said earlier that verse means there are fake and real Israelites, and God knows who they are. The real ones are hidden. Now it makes a little bit of sense. God should know that, but this is scary. Some of this stuff is scary because this is going to change the balance of the planet long after Trump is gone. A lot of this stuff is likely permanent. The weakening, if not breaking of relationships, the shifting of power, a lot of this stuff is going to be permanent. And like I said, long after Trump is gone, this stuff will still be around. I don't know how much it'll hurt, let's say, our future generations, but it will. It certainly will. Looking in the comments, Will G says, Revelation 3:9, I think this says, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Okay, I hate to go with the pronouns, but who is represented by they or them? I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, yikes, which say they are. The Jews is in this and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before my feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Now you got me. What my last guest talking about? I was blinking. I'm sure I'm blinking because I'm trying to interpret that. Because I'm trying to read it and I'm trying to interpret it. It's not, if you know Jesus for real, Jesus can't be legislated. You guys are getting real fucking deep on me tonight. In the Bible, Pharaoh and his men drowned in the Red Sea after Moses parted the Red Sea. I don't know any of this. Stomping me right and left. He says in the Bible, King, and I can't even begin to pronounce this, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon was driven from the people in the grass like an ox after a dream foretold his madness. You read it. I don't know any of this. You're well above me on any of this. USA is sick of having to pay for these wars while Europe doesn't pay, and then they all have free education and health care. Snipe for laughs. You're saying the United States is sick of having to pay for these wars while Europe doesn't pay. You do realize the United States benefits from all of these wars. We don't just go around playing the world's police because we like doing it, because we want to do the morally correct thing. We're making money out of this shit. If America decides to focus only on America and stop playing the world's police, America's going to lose its position of dominance. It's going to lose the U.S. dollar being the dominant currency. We're going to lose shit. And we're not doing this out of the kindness of our fucking heart. So don't ever let somebody tell you, well, thank God we're not paying for these useless wars anymore. Yeah, a lot of shit is being made on the back end. A lot of money is being made. We're not just doing this stuff for no reason at all. So, and I agree with Kevin, says fuck around and find out. Yeah, you stop funding these wars and other nations step up, they're going to reap the benefits of all of that stuff. And America will slowly but surely become an isolated nation, and that will lead to a downgrade in the quality of life for us here. We only live like this because we're exploiting other people, colonizing other lands, and exploiting other resources from other places. You stop doing that, you're going to notice immediately, like the quality of life, the expense of shit is going to go up. And our power on the world stage is going to go down. Everybody's focusing on, we're spending too much money and shit like that. The wealthiest people on the planet, as I mentioned much earlier in the live, impoverished Americans live better than middle-class citizens in most other countries. And yet we're constantly bitching about money. Oh, we're wasting too much money. How much fucking rich you trying to get? You do realize there is a phrase called you spend the dice enough, you can crap out. You're living better than virtually anybody else on the planet, and you're constantly bitching about money. At some point, greed can be a downfall. Greed can be a downfall. And I really think that we're kind of on the path to that. We're bitching about sending nations that are considerably poorer than America too much money. I don't want to send you, aid supplies and shit like that anymore. I mean, we've gotten to that point. I don't even want to send food, USAID, for instance. That type of shit. They're not sending people anything that's making folks rich. They're sending a lot of people essentials and shit. Like, I don't want to send people condoms, knowing that the condoms are to help prevent the spread of AIDS. I don't get it. It just sounds like greed is out of hand in this country. This is, to me, and like I keep saying all night long, I want to be wrong, but this is starting to sound really close to fuck around and find out territory. Like you had it all. You ever see the movie Casino? I use it all the time because there's a lot of good examples in it. Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci in that early 90s movie, Casino. And at the beginning of the movie, I think it's Joe Pesci is narrating and says, "We had it all, but we fucked it up." That's what he says in the beginning of the movie. We had it all. They went to Vegas and took over. We had it all, but we fucked it up. That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. Is that people at the top of the pyramid are bitching about how they don't have enough money. The Israelites, the real Israelites is who God will show the fake ones up. I'm ready for that. I am ready for that. U.S. wealth, 1%. USA, yeah. I don't get it. To me, I see Tim of the West, you're saying I'm wrong. State what I'm being wrong about. Let me know. Help me clear that up. I'll go back to the box shortly. Let me know what I'm getting wrong on that, because I don't understand what you're talking about. Moving on with the program, though, we'll continue on, because I'm clueless. Cliff, good evening. America isn't siding with Russia. We aren't. If you're freeing, wait a minute, you're telling me America's not siding with Russia. You're calling the Ukrainians dictators. You're refusing to call Putin a dictator. You're no longer sending any assistance at all to the Ukrainians and demanding they pay us back, but you're freeing up the sanctions and money to Russia. Yet somehow, some way, Phoenix, you're saying that America is not siding with Russia. We just aren't siding with the Ukraine. We are not taking any sides, and you just don't want to see that. Calling Zelensky a dictator, but refusing to call Putin one. That's not taking sides at all, huh? No longer helping the Ukraine, but lifting sanctions that the whole free world thinks should be imposed on Russia for that invasion. You don't see any taking of sides in any of that. Okay. All right. I just tell you this. I would love to be Russia if Trump was in office, as opposed to the Ukraine. You don't see, not taking any sides at all, huh? He gets elected, the adversary suddenly gets no help, and all of a sudden they're getting a ton of it. The adversary is getting all the insults, and now they're getting the compliments. Not taking any sides at all, huh? All right. Maybe we're seeing something totally different. I don't know where you're getting your news from, but apparently we're getting our news from a different location. Russia are the good guys. That might be the dumbest shit I've seen in this comment section tonight. Wow, who said Russia are the good guys? Well, I did have a caller on that said Russia had a legitimate reason to invade. So, doesn't Tucker Carlson believe that Russia's the good guys too? There is a lot of right-wingers that believe that. There are people on the right that do believe that. Trump hasn't removed any sanctions. Fake news saying he is thinking about it. That's good enough. He's thinking about, well, he actually did cut off all aid to the Ukraine, but he's thinking about helping out the Russians. Still taking sides. Even if what you're saying, MAGA Reacts, is true, he's still taking sides. I don't think you helped him out one bit by trying to clarify that. Real quick, I do want to continue on with the program. But also, too, by the way, it's getting close to midnight here in my central time zone. I believe at midnight, probably Eastern, because that's where D.C. is. The tariffs kick in. 25% to Mexico, 25% to Canada, 10% to China, if I'm correct. Now, the Canadians, for obvious reasons, are not happy. I played this earlier in the live, but I think it's relevant now. We got a different audience. 25% on Canada. Now, they obviously are not happy. This is Doug Ford. He is the premier of Ontario. Now, Canada has like 7 or 8 states, territories, whatever you call it. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Ontario, what else is Quebec? I think. I don't know what Quebec is in, but I think it's got like 7 territories. So if you're a premier of a territory or a premier of one of these areas, you're basically like a U.S. governor. This guy is Doug Ford. He is the premier of Ontario, so he would be like the governor of that territory over on the East Coast. And here's what he had to say earlier today, now that they're about to be sanctioned under the Trump administration.
Are people nervous? Yeah, they're nervous because of President Trump. We have to make sure, you have 2 choices here, folks. We roll over as a country and just let them run over us, or we fight like hell, like with enough.
Before I go into his routine, by the way, tap the screen. We're pretty damn close to that 100K. Smash that like button if you're on YouTube, horizontal, YouTube vertical, but tap the screen. Get us on over up that 100K hump. Pretty damn close.
The country and just let them run over us, or we fight like hell, like we've never fought before. I'm taking option 2. I'm fighting like hell, and we're going to protect Canada. He's underestimating the Canadian people, the resilience of the Canadian people, and the strength of the Canadian people. I said, number 1, I don't start a tariff war, but we're going to win this tariff war. Right off the hop, I've directed the LCBO, we're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world, to remove every bit of U.S. alcohol off the shelves. I know my good friend, the governor of Kentucky, he's losing his mind right now. I said, you better talk to your president. Mitch McConnell, senior senator from Kentucky, they're losing their mind. We purchased over $1 billion of alcohol, 3,600 products, 35 states. It's going to hit them. We call them the kitchen table issues. Then we're going to cancel Starlinks right away from Elon Musk. Not that $100 million makes a difference for him, but it's principle. I've directed the procurement of over $30 billion of goods not to go to the U.S., to make sure we buy Ontario first. And if we can't find it in Ontario and we can't build it in Ontario, we go across the country. I'm asking politely until I implement it. Every retail store, when you go look at the shelf marker, it has the price. We need to see a Canadian flag on that price. A lot of people can't pick it up and scan it. So please work with us, or we're going to legislate it.
I want to ask you folks this, but I'm going to interrupt and ask you folks this. Is it unpatriotic? Is it wrong? Are you a traitor if you see yourself during the Trump administration actually rooting for some of these countries? By way of yes or no in the comments, do you think it is wrong? Do you think it is unpatriotic? Do you think a person is a traitor if during the Trump administration they're rooting for the Ukraine, rooting for this guy in Canada or the Canadians for what they're going through, rooting for the Mexicans because of what they're going. Do you think it's wrong or unpatriotic to do that? Rooting for Greenland because I've had a caller on here from Greenland. They're concerned because he's talked about taking over Greenland. That Denmark is sending them a few extra ships, even though they admit they can't stop the United States. I haven't had anybody from Panama on. The Panamanians down there, they're probably afraid he's going to take the canal. Is it wrong to actually root for some of these countries that are starting to have their entire lives upset by one guy making all these threats in all these different locations? Now, look, at the end of the day, I don't like when folks always say Trump's telling a joke and you're taking them out of context, but I'm going to give MAGA a little bit of credit on this. Some of these has to be jokes. We cannot get involved with all these people at once. Take the Panama Canal back. We're going to potentially try to take Greenland if they don't sell it or whatever the hell we're talking about doing over there. I guess we're completely out of the Russian-Ukraine event, but my guess is that's not going to last for long because if Europe gets in it with Russia, I mean, if Article 5 is called up, then what do? We separate from NATO, I guess, because Trump is not going to... I don't think Article 5 is going to allow Trump to go in against Russia. I think Trump will just say, look, we had a deal to solve this, and the NATO member nations decided to deliberately go and start a war anyway, so therefore they forfeited the United States participating in Article 5. I don't think I do not believe America under Trump is reliable for the Article 5 provisions if Russia is the target. You're not going to get Trump involved in that. I don't care what happens. I don't care if Trump used a nuke on Italy. I don't think Article 5 is going to work with Trump. And I think Europe has already said that. I think the leader of Germany said that. It's like, you cannot depend on the United States. I don't feel like that the United States is reliable. I see in the comments you're saying Article 5 only works if Russia attacks NATO. That's what I'm talking about. If you got the United Kingdom saying that they're willing to put boots on the ground to protect the Ukrainians, then that means that they're willing to put their soldiers in harm's way. Obviously the UK is a member of NATO. So if the United Kingdom puts boots on the ground and planes in the air to help out the Ukrainians, and Russia shoots those down or tries to, we're essentially dealing with a war between the UK and Russia. That's Article 5. Trump would say that the UK had no business doing that. I don't think that Trump can be counted on to participate in Article 5 if Russia is the target. I don't believe he can be counted on. That's my opinion on that. I don't believe it. So at that point, they're kind of on their own. As long as those boots die in Ukraine, Article 5 won't be triggered. And you can make up a million reasons MAGA reacts for why it is, but if the UK are sending planes to fight in the Ukraine and sending soldiers, what are you telling me? As long as they can kill UK soldiers in the Ukraine, and that's not the same as killing UK soldiers in the UK? We don't go by that. If America is in another country fighting on behalf of some other country and you kill Americans, you're at war with America. We don't say the soldiers have to be in the United States for it to count. What are you talking about? That's not how that works. That makes no. If you shoot down something that is wearing a UK flag, a UK patch, then you're shooting UK. It doesn't matter where they at in the world. Same thing in the United States. The United States looks at you go and you take out an American in Germany, American military personnel or based in Germany. You declare war on the United States. You make it sound like they got to be in America for that. Yeah, you're trying to come up with excuses to defend what I'm talking about Trump's going to do, which is not answer to Article 5. You're giving them those type of excuses. Well, it didn't happen in the UK, so that's not technically you already are doing it for them. And you're kind of making my point that if it happens, Trump can't be counted on. And with folks out there like yourself, that makes it clear why he can't be counted on. You're already making excuses for him before it even starts. Well, it didn't happen in the UK, so that don't count. Will G says, with Elon getting all our personal information and firing people, and Trump basically declared himself a king, defying courts and lifting cyber surveillance on Russia, we are cooked. Man, like I said, I don't like to get deep into conspiracies, but there's no way I can make this stuff sound good. And I tend to be able to play devil's advocate with some level of success. But it's forming so quick that it's hard to keep pushing all of this stuff aside. Like right now, we're lifting sanctions on Russia and essentially giving Ukrainians no help at all, but people are trying to somehow, some way say we're not favorable to Russia. That don't fucking make any sense anymore. That doesn't make any sense anymore. When you're calling Zelensky a dictator, but you're hesitant to call Putin one. Putin wants to impose a Russia-friendly dictator or leader in the Ukraine, and here you got Trump blaming them for not holding an election. I mean, if you listen to Trump and you listen to Putin, or you listen to the messages coming out of the Trump administration, and you listen to the messages coming from Russia, they sound alike. But we're not siding with Russia at all. That makes no sense at all at this point. And I want it to make sense. I'll be the first to side with those who say that we're not siding with Russia. There's no way to spin it. I mean, even Russia is now saying that we're aligned with them. They're admitting that we're on their side. Why would they lie about that? Where else in history has Russia's ever said that America's an ally other than World War II? So they're not making it up. They wouldn't have said that under Biden. So clearly something has happened. Will G, your personal information isn't worth getting. Yeah, it is. Maxwell Smart. Yeah, it is. You don't know anything about the man. He's saying that Elon Musk is getting our personal information and firing people. Remember, Elon just tried to buy AI something. He tried to purchase an AI company, offered them $94 billion to buy it, and they turned it down. He's trying to purchase an AI company while basically taking all of our information, and people were saying, well, it's wrong to put two and two together. It's like trying to buy an auto plant, and it's like owning an auto plant, and you're now trying to get rubber from some country, and you're not putting two and two together that he's going to probably use this on his autos. I mean, it's pretty clear. Just like the whole rare earth minerals thing is starting to form and come together. At some point, how much you got to actually clear the picture up before you can actually pronounce what you're looking at? You ever see a blurry picture? Let's say the picture is of a house. How clear does it have to be before you say, yeah, that is a house? I mean, you can see the outline. It's still blurry. You can see the outline. You can literally see this stuff forming right in front of your face. How clear does it have to be before you say, okay, yeah, that is a house? And that's what it sounds like to me, is that it's getting clearer and clearer, and because people are still pushing back, trying to say we're not on the side of Russia, and that's insane at this point. It's some that have the money but don't rock with Trump and Elon, president. I don't get what you're saying there, but They were in Afghan war because 9/11 was an attack on U.S. MAGA race, I don't know who you're responding to on that. Projecting much? Gee, yeah, he is. Yeah, he is projecting a little bit. Therefore, Trump ain't shit. God, must be getting late. None of you are soldiers except our peace deal. None of you are soldiers except our peace deal. Maxwell Smart, it's not a peace deal. It's not. It's a temporary ceasefire at best. You're not giving the Ukrainians any security at all that if Russia attacks tomorrow, you'll intervene in any. At best, the argument is because we're there taking minerals out of your country, Russia will respect our presence and not attack. That's the best we're offering them. That's it. And let's say, for instance, the United States decides to leave for some reason. Then Russia is free to do. I mean, you're not offering them anything. So it's not a peace deal. It's a temporary ceasefire at best. There's no promise that if for some reason, if Russia decides to host a ceasefire while they build their country's armaments back up, we'll get them in a year. Trump is promising to do nothing when that year happens. Why would you get involved in that? Not to mention the way things are going now, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump was giving Russia intelligence on how the Ukrainians were developing the whole year span. At this point, I think it's safe to say we are no longer an ally of Ukraine. And anybody trying to deny that is just doing it for the sake of maybe protecting the administration. What would he do differently than he is? Let's say, for instance, a president let's say, okay, Biden was an ally of the Ukraine. That's pretty obvious. He was giving them a ton of money. Let's say another person wanted to come in after Biden, and they did not want to be an ally of the Ukraine. What would they do different than Trump has done? Everything he's did has shown he's not an ally. So if you want to still continue to suggest he is, I don't think the Ukrainians think that Trump is an ally of theirs. MAGA jokes on personal info, but won't be laughing when he and his tech buds loot the treasury and come out with that brain chip. I hope they don't do that. But he ends up by saying MAGA ain't shit. He says, MAGA jokes on personal info. That's true. But he said they won't be laughing when his tech buds loot the treasury, and come out with a brain chip. I hope they don't come up. That might be a stretch, the brain chip. Now you're really trying to zombify America. I don't know about the brain chip, but the looting of the treasury, I don't know if they're looting the treasury, but they definitely getting paid. I don't think that's up for debate that a lot of money is being made in this, particularly by Elon Musk. And we can pretend like Trump ain't getting a kickback. We don't know. I'm not going to say Trump is getting a kickback, but the idea that you're going to give somebody the head of an organization that didn't exist, I'm talking about DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. I'm going to create an organization for your ass, and we're going to make sure you get a bunch of government contracts, whether it's extensions with Starlink, Tesla. What else does he have? We don't know where AI is going to go. You're going to be making all this money, more so than you would even been making if I didn't appoint you to DOGE. You're making a lot more money now that you're the head of DOGE. You were making a ton of money anyway, but you're making a whole lot more. I don't give you this and I'm not going to get anything out of this some way, somehow in the back end. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, me personally, some of that money, some kind of way, something would have to filter back to me. I'm not going to create this shit for you. If something, now you don't give him $300 million already, but yeah, Elon is making money, and there's no way for me to believe Trump ain't going to make some money out of that too. I just have a hard time believing that because he's making Elon a lot of money. Maxwell Smart says Russia has to accept the deal as well. Russia said we can get half their minerals. I haven't heard that. It takes both countries to make a deal for it to be official. You're saying that Russia said that we can get half of their rare earth minerals? I have not heard of it. Why would Russia want to do that? I have not heard it, Harry. To me, in regard, I haven't heard that Russia wants to get half of the rare earth minerals, but the issue is what happens to the Ukraine that is under occupation? Because we're telling Zelensky that we're offering them some kind of great peace deal. If 20% of their country is currently being occupied, that's not a peace deal. That's an act of submission. Is that you got to admit you have now lost some of your country. That's not a peace deal. And that's why I think a lot of folks are not reading into this, right? Because they're saying, well, he's wrong. You know, you should just surrender. No, you holding on to my shit. No, I'm not going to surrender. We want our sovereignty back. There's a whole lot of Ukrainian citizens that are trapped in that area that's under occupation. That's not a peace deal. And I don't think you guys are looking at it that way. This is like a peace deal between Israel and Gaza. Yeah, there's no more war, but they're homeless. And Trump is telling them they can't come back. That ain't a great deal. I mean, I guess if we just only focus on the fact that nobody's getting shot and ignore everything else, you know, and by the way, when it comes to the Palestinians, if they do what Trump is talking about, where they have to go live in Jordan or they have to go live in Egypt and they can't come home, which is what Trump said, their whole fucking culture is gone. Within 2 or 3 generations, they're now living in one of these other countries. They don't mix into that population. They're probably going to be interbreeding with that population, and they're going to become Jordanians, and they're going to become Egyptians. A few generations down the line, Palestinians will cease to exist. I mean, even their language and shit like that may start to fade out. I mean, he's getting rid of a culture by doing that. No different than what happened with us. They brought us to this country as slaves, and we have no ties to whatever culture we came from. We're Americans now. And people tell you that all the time. Quit saying you're black. Quit saying you're African American. You're an American now. Okay, well, where the fuck did I come from? What about that part? Well, you're American now. You've lost all of that. That's what they're doing to them. So I don't know if that's something that the Palestinians should jump up and down and point out how great of a deal that is. Russia is offering half of their minerals to the United States to show good faith in a peace deal. If Ukraine deals, Russia will deal. What about the part of their country that is being seized, that is being occupied? And by the way, the Ukraine is in shambles. Giving half of their rare earth minerals right now, they need to sell some shit, not give away stuff. I mean, I don't see why people think this is such a great deal for the Ukrainians. We're not offering them anything. We're telling them, give us your rare earth minerals to pay for what we've done so far. The whole future is on you. Whether it is, future protection, rebuilding, we're not going to do anything for you. Trump is basically saying, I'm not going to give you a penny. I'm here to collect for what Biden did for you. I'm not here to do any damn thing for you. I'm here to collect for what Biden did. And if you pay me, I'll stop them from shooting you because I need to be to get my money. He's not coming in this looking like a hero. I'm looking in the comments. Doge doesn't want to save taxpayer money. They want to revert the money into crypto and corporations on top of Trump tax cuts. Anybody invest in crypto since Trump came around? We talking a lot of shit here back and forth, but I'll tell you something. They're making so much money, Trump and Elon, out of this shit. There has to be ways to play a Vivek Ramaswamy role and follow on their coattails and benefit too. We can all be Vivek Ramaswamys if you know what I mean. There has to be something you can invest in it. I mean, his watches, whatever the fuck it is. There has to be ways to make money following Trump. I mean, there's got to be a little bit of Tim Scott in all of us, right? I mean, at the end of the day, call it what you may, but there is a lot of money orbiting around Trump and Elon. And there has to be something, some of the shit they're doing, there has to be ways to invest in that. I mean, keep in mind, we don't need to make a whole lot of money like they do. A few 100,000 would be good if you know what I mean. So there has to be ways about that. Anybody invested in his crypto? Elon has a Dogecoin. Don't he have crypto as well? There has to be ways to make money off of them. I'm just saying, because they're involved in everything. Both of them are. Elon has a bunch of stuff going on, and everybody said the same thing about Trump. You don't need money. He's got 15 billion. He didn't even take a salary. And yet he's selling Bibles and gym shoes and coins and watches and shit. You don't need any money. Sure don't look like it. He's doing everything but selling Girl Scout cookies while he's president. Sure don't look like it. Trump played MAGA with the meme coin. Yeah, I heard they bought the meme coin and it went down in value. There has to be something, though, that is something about Trump that you can make money off of. We just don't know what it is, I guess, but because he's making a killing while he's in the White House. Trump is making a killing, and Elon Musk is making a serial killer. Just don't know what it is. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate we did get over 104,000 on the likes. As always, you know we don't block, ban, or censor. If you favor this type of open dialogue from all sides of the aisle, I'm going to ask that you follow the program if you're on TikTok or Instagram. A subscription if you're on YouTube horizontal, YouTube vertical. Nevertheless, I work for the man just like everybody else does, and I have to get up early in the morning. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Appreciate it. What does that say, Tim? What does that say, MAGA Reacts? Oh, you weren't on there, MAGA. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Catch you tomorrow. Don't know what I hit there.